Commanding Officer's Log, Stardate 74724.45. The Hope is en route to the Algeron system after a successful-ish mission in the Akamar system. The field hospital was able to be built. This will help relieve the medical facilities at Starbase 23 and 234. I hope that it also protects the Akamar system from the possibility of an attack due to the Code of War, preventing firing on medical facilities. Dr. Delix has been asked to stay behind in the Akamar system to help with the hospital. Now we are turning our attention to Algeron, as we are faced with some very dire circumstances. The Third Fleet is in a slow retreat as the Klingons are brutally taking out their numbers. About half the fleet has been damaged or disabled. This retreat will be leaving the Algeron system in a more vulnerable state than it currently is. When the war broke out, many of the citizens fled the system. Those that remained are our focus. Our orders are to evacuate the remaining inhabitants of the system to a safe location, either Kolar 2 or the Celis system. Our hope is that we can make it to the system and evacuate the remaining people before the Klingons arrive in system. Let's just hope that the Klingons haven't beaten us to the system. Commander Zoll should be sending me a status report soon. End log.
And with that, our first scene of the game is going to be in your ready room, Tuzan. And you've just started a conversation with Commodore Zoll. It's a long distance communication, of course. She's still at Starbase 23. And her holographic projection is projecting into a seat in front of your desk. And the hologram doesn't make her any taller. And in fact, sitting in the chair being projected, her chin is only, like, her chin up is the only part you can see of her body. And she's giving you a hard look. Commander, you've created quite a mess for us in the Akamar system. So before we get started, let me know, what were you thinking?
My thinking was the Sovereign had already basically shot himself in the foot, and the fire was already started.
But you know, of course, sending that transmission with his the record of his conspiracy was definitely a prime directive breach.
I'm aware, but after he had admitted that he was planning on using citizens for his own political gain, and that was transmitted across the entire country, and a lot of the conspiracies had already been out there. Again, just fuel to the fire.
But Commander, you understand it's not our place to tell a society who they should have as their elected leader. If the Akamarians wanted to do something about that, they should do it themselves.
Well, to be fair, I didn't tell them who to vote for, or whether he was in the right or the wrong. The transmission was just sent.
But since the Hope has left, I have received information that riots have actually begun on Akamar 3 in the capital. So I guess someone heard what you had to say after all.
I think in the end, the people will choose.
I am giving you the benefit of the doubt because this is your first command, and I've thrown you into a difficult situation rather hastily. However, as a starship captain, I expect you to start thinking bigger.
Well, I did let several individuals on the ship so that they would not be persecuted.
Yes, which leads me to my next topic. While I am very unhappy about the breach in the Prime Directive, what makes me most unhappy is the report that I got from your first officer. It was worded very diplomatically, of course. However, my concern is that your first officer is in a position now where they do not trust you completely. In order for your command to be successful, you will need the unabiding belief of everyone under your command that the decision that you end on is the best for the ship and Starfleet. Put it shortly, I don't believe your first officer may have their full confidence in you, and that concerns me.
I think Commander Sothfath will keep me on my toes very well. I am actually planning on meeting with them here shortly about figuring out a way to detect some cloaked Klingons.
Well, if you can think of anything on that front that we haven't, certainly let me know. I have many reports where all three fleets have tried many different creative approaches, and we've come up with nothing on whatever the Klingons are using. It's causes no end of problems.
Agreed. Well, that's why I would like to look into a couple of different ideas.
So let's talk about the Algeron system. So,
Yes, let's.
as you know, you will be entering a hotbed. Now, fortunately, most of the inhabitants of the system have left. The only ones are those attached to the ambassador's diplomatic staff and the researchers on Deep Space 12. But there may be Klingon vessels waiting for you. It could be one ship, an entire fleet, or it could be none at all. We have no way of knowing.
Well, let's just hope our theories to detect the cloaked vessels prove to be beneficial with all of this.
And then
But
as she says this next part, she jumps out of her chair, and as she does, the holographic projector tracks her movement, but she's pretty much completely obscured by your desk, and you can't even see her. And she's starting to pace.
we are looking into it. Approximately how many people will we be evacuating?
I believe last count is 6,500, which I understand is beyond the capacity of the Hope. However, we have actually stumbled into a bit of luck here. The freighter Renata, which is headed from the Salus system, their captain, Captain Aleph, was gracious enough to answer my call for help. He dumped his cargo and is on the way to the Algeron system presently to assist with the evacuation. Now, his vessel is not outfitted for transporting people, but he has assured me that his life support systems in his cargo containers should be enough to transport at least the remaining 1,500 that the Hope cannot herself.
And as soon as we get everyone on board, it's warp out of system as soon as possible.
Yes, absolutely.
Have we come up with a decision on where we should take the individuals?
Well, the answer is we don't have too many good places. Of course, Quelar 2 can support the population. There's not too much room. Quelar 2 is a Federation planet, so they will let us. However, we might just be postponing the problem because as our lines continue to diminish, the next planet after the Algeron system is Quelor.
Right, which then leads us to Celis.
Correct. Celis certainly has the most space for our people. However, again, they are further away.
But it's also a longer trek. And having a freighter that can't go the same speed as a starship puts us at a little bit of a disadvantage.
Indeed. I will have the tactical information on this vessel sent to your tactical officer. However, having taken a look at it myself, it's an older freighter, certainly suitable for hauling dilithium and pergium. However, it has one single laser turret, which I don't have to tell you is certainly not going to stop any Klingon.
Good note. We will, while we are together, I will dispatch one of our support runabouts to add a little protection to it, and I'll make sure that Commander Ryalix looks at the freighter to make sure the systems can hold up, and if we can do some minor upgrades to the systems to make the people a little bit more comfortable, all the better.
Which, yes, I should mention, Commander, your mission here is not to engage in war with the Klingons. Your mission is to get the people off those planets and get out of there. At this point, we know we have lost the Algeron system. That is a certainty. There is no way we can support the defense of that system. So what I'm trying to say is, Commander, It's very possible there are any number of Klingons out there that want to make a name for themselves by taking out your starship. They understand how strategically valuable your vessel is, especially to our continuing efforts in this sector. It has happened before. Klingons like to bait other starships by attacking weaker targets or creating situations. It's happened before, especially monitoring the history of other fleets, where they will attack weaker vessels, and then as soon as formations are broken, other cloaked vessels will then attack in formation, and they've even let their own people die before if it creates a more strategic trap that they will then later spring.
We'll keep our eyes peeled for them. But at the same time, we also need to be able to defend the ship.
Of course. Now, an unhappy part of our conversation. If it gets to a point where you have to make a choice between your ship and the people in that system, you are under orders, and I'm saying this very clearly so that there is no misunderstanding. Your orders are to protect your ship first.
I understand.
We cannot lose your ship. Currently, Starbase 23 has a long list of ships waiting for repairs. I cannot add the Hope to that list.
I understand, Commodore. We will make sure that we keep in tip-top shape.
And if your ship is disabled in the Algeron system, there will be no assistance coming your way.
I understand.
And sorry, one last piece of not very fantastic news for you, Commander. We do have an ambassador in the system, Ambassador Shiv. He's a minor dignitary. Of course, being assigned to the consulate on Algeron at this point is, well, there's not much to do. There's no Romulan Empire to work with. However, don't let him bully you. He does have authority in the Federation, but this is your mission.
Exactly, and as far as that goes, as soon as he's on my ship, he's under my jurisdiction.
Exactly. He is unpredictable, to say the least. Just continue your mission, deal with them as you can. But if I hate to say this, if you have to sacrifice someone, try not to sacrifice the ambassador.
I'll make sure that he is taken care of.
I don't believe he has any knowledge of any restricted or top secret information, but he would be a good prize for a Klingon.
I think any dignitary would be a good prize for Klingon at this point.
And then she hops back up onto her chair, and again, you can only see from her chin up, but she does have a large frown on her face. Well, is there anything else you'd like to discuss, Commander?
I don't believe so. We are kind of down a chief medical officer currently.
I believe you do have sufficient staff to cover that for now.
We do. I'm going to talk to the staff here shortly to kind of set up the framework of how they need to operate.
I would certainly leave that to your hands. I know you're more than capable of administering your medical staff.
Well, it is kind of my old backbone, so I know a thing or two, and I just smile.
Of course. Well, I hope in a day or so, Commander, the only problem we'll be having to deal with is what to do with the evacuees.
Agreed. I'm going to be meeting with my senior staff and as well as the science team here shortly, see if we can expedite the process a little bit.
Very good, and I've relayed the relevant information to your intelligence and your tactical officers.
Thank you very much, Commodore. Stay safe.
And you as well, Commander. Good luck.
Thank you. Two's on out.
And her hologram vanishes, leaving you alone in your ready room.
I take a moment to gather my thoughts, and then I hit my comm badge. Senior staff, can we have a meeting in the observation lounge, please?
I think in
On
that
my way.
I think before we do that, let's actually clean that up. So Sophanth, you are in command on the bridge while Tuzan is having that conversation with the Commodore. And it's been pretty much the only thing the ship has been doing is moving into the Algeron system pretty much at maximum warp. And Montgomery, I'm going to put you actually at the helm. I think we'd planned on you being the helm officer of the Hope in addition to the CIC commander.
Thought I was lead. Like, last I knew, I was still relieved of duty.
To the shiny new Montgomery.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can't remember, was Montgomery relieved or did we put him back on duty?
I don't
I would say-
remember putting him back.
I would say by now he might be on like limited duty. Simply because like we're down a senior staff officer and we're going into a circumstance where we're going to need somebody to be able to fastly crunch numbers and respond quickly. So I would say he's in limited duty.
Okay. So on the bridge, ahead of the view screen, you just see the stars of warp travel, and TM turns to you, Sophanth. Well, Commander, the only thing on the screens are the Algeron system and the SS Renata. She's a pretty old-looking freighter.
Tell me, Mr. TM, what can you tell me about the freighter that I might not already know?
Well, from my scans, at least, it looks like they have one laser cannon and shields that are mostly held up by confidence and optimism.
What about its size? Obviously, I know it used to haul dilithium, if I read the report correctly, but how is it fitting 1,500 people in its hold?
Well, the ship size is about 450 meters, and most of that is just cargo carrying, and he throws up on the view screen. It's that typical Federation design where it's like a long tube, and that's where the crew actually work and maintain the ship. And then, attached to that cylinder are just cargo containers. And actually,
So it's an Oberth class.
it looks more like a I think the type was a Y-type freighter. I'm thinking an Enterprise, that freighter that that freighter they rescued that one time. Actually, I have a token I can drop in, but
Yeah, I'm vaguely aware of the one I'm looking it up on Memory Alpha now. But yeah, that was
like
the one I
that.
was thinking of. So I look at it on the view screen, sort of rub my chin in thought, and say, all right, Mr. Montgomery, can you put a side by side of that freighter, the freighter schematics, alongside Deep Space 12 schematics?
Very well. Pull them up onto the view screen.
All right, and for those who don't know, since this is my handout, I will explain this. So Deep Space 12 is a research station that is in the Algeron system. It's got about 150 people on it, and it's one of those science and research stations that we see. Was Regulus one? I think
Yep.
Regulus was one.
Yeah.
But it's basically a star base. It's a mini star base. And Sophanth looks at thank you. Sophanth sort of looks at the Deep Space 12, looks at the freighter, looks back at Deep Space 12. All right, call me crazy, but what if we converted the engine compartments of Deep Space 12 into human compatible living space? Doesn't have to be long term, just long enough to get them out of system somewhere else. And then we tractor Deep Space 12 at warp.
If we converted them like that, we would need to make sure to install adequate life support systems and redundancy.
I mean, my understanding is that's basically what we're going to have to do with the freighter anyway.
TM speaks up. Well, the freighter captain says that their cargo containers have life support, just maybe not very comfortable accommodations.
Right, but before we, and I hate to put it this way, before we start putting the cattle in the pen, we need to make sure that they're not going to expire from the process.
We could attempt the Montgomery after my namesake.
Go on.
USS Janolan. Montgomery Scott was thought lost, but he was discovered to have preserved his transport pattern within a loop within the transporter buffer. We could, theoretically, store people in our buffers, not just on the Hope, but within all of the ships capable of transporting. We would just have to make sure that there's no degradation that would occur. We could store a copy of their pattern within the computer so it can verify and maintain imaging.
It's a good thought, Montgomery, but as someone who wrote a thesis on this sort of thing in Starfleet Academy, let me just say this. The last time we tried to replicate what Montgomery Scott did, what Admiral Scott did, let's just say we didn't get a person on the other end. We got a body, but no mind. The fact that the Admiral came through was nothing short of a miracle. There is merit, and don't get me wrong, it is a hot topic of debate and study. And actually, it's kind of ironic. The current leader on Deep Space 12 there is Dr. Chadha, and she believes that there's breakthroughs to be had in transporter technology. So what I'm trying to say is, I would not recommend trying to do this transporter buffer thing, but if we talk with Dr. Chadha and she suggests it, maybe we can put it back on the table. But I don't want to come to the captain and say, "Hey, yeah, let's store people in a transporter buffer." Usually leads to bad things.
The other option would be to use the Curie class. The issues with transporting as many people is not we would run out of room, but it would tax our life support system. Using the Curie classes, they have their own independent life support, and they can hold up to 40 individuals each.
The TM speaks up. Honestly, my concern with transporting anyone in this system is that our shields have to be down. There could be any number of Klingon ships waiting for just that moment.
This is why the Curie class's ship would still remain docked within inside the vessel. As I said, it is not an issue of room, it is an issue of life capacity. If they're within the Curie classes while they're completely sealed tight, their life support would sustain them for roughly 2 hours before they would have to cycle in new atmosphere.
Well, Lieutenant, we can think about it on the way, but we have a meeting now in the main conference room with the captain to discuss options.
Yeah, I did get that message here. All right, let's bring it up to the captain. Let's see what he thinks.
And as you guys begin to walk away, TM has you 8 of 13 take the bridge while the rest of the staff head on to the conference room.
Okie doke.
No pressure.
Is Monty going, or is he being kept out?
I mean, if you start walking like you belong, Sophanth isn't going to say anything.
Monty will stay at his station because limited duty. He believes he is not part of staff anymore.
Okay.
As Tuzon walks to the bridge, come on, Montgomery, I need your ideas too.
Aye, sir. And he'll sign off his console and pass it off to some unnamed redshirt. That's literally his name. His name is unnamed.
And jumping us into the conference room. So I've put Waltz on there also since we don't actually have a CMO character yet.
Waltz looks grumpy.
All right, I walk in. Well, hello everybody. Thanks for meeting in short notice. I just got off communication with the Commodore. And let's just say we have a big task in front of us.
Waltz just looks at you like, well, we're waiting.
Well, first off, Waltz, how is the medical staff and sickbay handling being down Delix?
Oh, their medical health is fine. Emotional, I don't care.
Well, if they need any help, don't be afraid to reach out. Got some reports from the ship that's going to be helping us, the Renata. And let's just say she's not much to look at. Commander Ryalix, I'm going to be tasking you with making sure that the life support systems and basic in the systems there are able to keep the people there, their basic needs taken care of.
Oh, there's not much to look at when it comes to this thing, but I'll do my best to see what I can do.
There's roughly 6,500 individuals still in the system. We can take on a majority of that, but about 1,500 of those individuals will have to go to the Renata. And speaking of that, our main concern is to get everybody out. We're going to try not to engage the Klingons because the Commodore has pointed out, and I agree, this is the perfect opportunity for them to bait us, and we don't need another ship disabled at the moment. Commander Sophanth, I have a few ideas on how we can try to detect some of the cloaked Klingon vessels. Montgomery, I might need your help running numbers on that as well. My main idea is use the cosmic radiation background to find things that aren't matching up. Because even though they are cloaked, their shields are down, but their deflectors are still keeping the radiation out. So my theory is there might be a big ol' hole in radiation if we do a radiation scan.
Understood.
My only concern, sir, is that the more people we put on this cloaking task, the less manpower we will have for the evacuation.
I agree, and we don't have very many extra bodies to spare at the moment. Like I said, it's a theory. If we can get it operational before we get to the system, based off what our previous data was, because we know there was a Klingon ship in the Akamar system. Using that data and run simulations on it, if we can pinpoint cloaked ships, that puts us at a better edge.
Well, on the subject of defending the transport, and I turn to TM for this. TM, what is the tactical loadout of Deep Space 12?
None to speak of. It's a scientific research station. Population, I think, is around 150. They're all scientists. I don't even think there's a phaser on board.
Well, and I turn back to the captain. One of the ideas we were floating on the bridge prior to this meeting was using Deep Space 12 as sort of a tractored station. Would lessen the load on the freighter, and it might be a quote unquote tempting target for the Klingons. They'll see a station being towed they will see a station being towed and think, oh, well, that's interesting. Let's go poke it. But the difference is the freighter, we can't really install phaser arrays or photon torpedoes on. A station that's Federation, I mean, it's designed to be modular. We should be able to throw something on it.
I like that idea. Let's explore that more. I did tell the Commodore that we would be assigning one of the more tactically aligned runabouts to the Renata just to give it a little bit of cover. But before that, we need to get everybody off the planet. I've also been told to keep an eye out for the ambassador. He's apparently a very unpredictable individual. But we have 6,500 individuals that we need to get out of here. Talking to the Commodore, we have two options. Celis seems to be the most safe, but there's an option closer in Qualar 2.
I mean, I will simply say, sir, that the closer option might not be the best long term. Based on the reports I've been reading from the fleet, it might be that we move them there, but then a month from now, 2 months from now, line will get pushed. We'll have to do it all over again.
That's my thoughts exactly. And the Renata is originally from the Celis system, so I think it makes more logical and tactical sense to move them there. It does mean for a longer ride and very packed quarters, but we've dealt with interesting things before. We can do this again. We are under strict orders that if it comes between the ship and the civilians of the planet, we have to choose the ship.
That's a very fatalistic way of looking at it, but orders are orders.
Right. I don't like that either, but I also see where the Commodore is coming from. The hope is the last ship able to take care of the, call them domestic issues in the sector, and losing the hope does not bode well with the rest of the sector.
And Naval speaks up. Captain, if I may, it seems as though time will be at an essence for whatever operations we're undergoing. Might I recommend that we come out of warp very close to one of the planets or the station if we intend to evacuate one of those first. Now, it will be a tricky maneuver, but I have every confidence that Mr. Montgomery can pull it off.
I was thinking about that as well, coming in close and dispatching everything we can to get as many people off in as few amount of time as possible would be the ideal situation. Montgomery, do you think you can do it?
I believe I should be able to, yes.
Then let's go with that. The closer we can get to the planet and the faster we can get our support vessels and the transporters operating, the better.
I'm actually going to move you guys to this map because there are 3 planets or 3 bodies that you have to be kind of concerned about here. There's the Algeron main planet called Algeron, Chavula, which is the second planet, and then DS-12, which is orbiting an inhabited moon, or uninhabited moon rather.
And if you want actual numbers, Algeron is 4,500. It's a jungle world. Wouldn't recommend having your vacation there. That is probably where you will find most of the truly civilians, family members of Federation personnel that are sort of assigned to the diplomatic station on Chuluva. I said that right. Chavula is a frozen world, and it's where the diplomats are. The diplomatic corps is anyway. There's about 1,500 there, and then the station has 150.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we should definitely. Out of character, I'm thinking of we have to try to get the diplomats out first.
I mean, personally, unless you want Sophoth coordinating things, she's would be more than willing to take a shuttle or something over to DS-12 and start evacuating them.
Right, that's kind of what I was thinking. So let's have the Renata and the one runabout, tactically inclined runabout, start at Algeron and start the process there. Have the Hope go to Chavula and get the diplomatic team, and Sophanth, you can take the runabouts and go over to Deep Space 12 and evacuate everyone there.
Sure, works for me.
Therefore, we're doing it all simultaneously and not taking up more time than what we need to.
Mhm.
And where would we be parking the Hope?
I'm thinking at Chavulu, simply because we can take care of the diplomatic corps relatively quickly there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm okay with this. Sounds like a good plan.
This is a great segue to out of character start talking about how I want to run the evacuation.
Mhm.
So if you guys will notice the tokens that we have on Roll20, there is a red bar and then there is a bar that has a count of 0. So I'm going to measure each action, I guess, in intervals, and intervals are an abstract measurement of time that will change based on what happens. But basically, in an interval, and I've dropped this in a handout in Roll22 so you guys can see the specifics, that there are 2 tasks that a vessel can take. One is a move task. You can move one of these zones. That's what these lanes are, the columns. You can move one zone, or you can do a transport task, which is taking people off of the planet or somewhere else and moving them to another place. And there's a rate where ships can make that happen. So if you look at the Hope, what that red number 1000 is in a single transport task, the Hope can actually transport 1,000 people. And the number that is not, like, doesn't have a value that's 0 is the capacity of the Hope. So the Hope can actually carry 5,000 people. So in 5 intervals, without, anything else going on, the Hope can actually clean out 5,000 people and store them on her. She's the fastest ship as far as like actually moving people that you guys have access to. The Renata also can carry 1,000 people, but its rate is only 100. So it's much slower at actually moving people. But what I've actually done too is, let me turn all these on. I've made a token for all of, or at least grouped all of your support ships that you guys have access to. So the cargo shuttles, long-range shuttles, sensor shuttles, medical shuttles, and then all of your fighters as well could all be sent to places to do independent stuff. Now I've grouped your support craft into categories because you actually have 10. So instead of having 10 separate ships everywhere, I was like, okay, let's just put them together. And I have all of their rates and capacity also listed. So you can see like your medical ships can transport stuff quickly. However, they can't hold nearly as much as like your cargo ships, which are just mostly, huge open space. But you can also coordinate your fighters to send them to different places. However, for the Hope to still have that fighter wing talent, you have to have at least one group of fighters, doesn't matter which one, at least one group of fighters attached to the Hope.
I think that makes sense, having at least one of the fighters attached to the Hope, because if we're going to be transporting, our shields are down.
One thing of note, if we get into a combat situation where it's just support ships and not the Hope, we're going to run that through fleet combat because we most likely won't have any player characters there and fleet combat will just get us there faster. One thing to note with the Valor class fighters to reflect their quantum torpedo is I will give you guys the option of one of their attack runs to have the vicious effect to one time on one roll to represent them launching their quantums.
Okay.
And Montgomery, I do apologize for the tokens. These are just the ones I had and that I signed, so they might not actually line up with what you had envisioned them to be, but...
Oh no, I thought I sent you all the tokens.
You probably did. Again, apologies. But I have made a macro too. If you guys should have all access to all the tokens that are out now, but if you click on one of the planets, there is a macro called transport. And if you click that, what will happen is you'll get a pop-up that'll ask you how many people you want to take off of the planet. And you can type in the rate for any of those ships and it'll do the math for us. And then also the ship you're transporting to will also have a macro if you click on it. And in that case, when you click on it, it will ask you how many you want to add to the ship's capacity and then we'll add to it. So
I do see the planet macro. I do not see the shuttle macro.
Yeah, I'm not seeing one on the shuttles. I'm seeing them on the ships.
you know what? I
On
probably didn't
the-
add it for the shuttles because the quantity was so low, but the ships should have it.
Yeah, the Renata and the Hope have them.
Yeah, I do have a calculator out anyway in case I don't want to make this a math problem of like how many shuttles can transport 6,000 people. No, I didn't want it to be like that.
Well, here's my question. So, how many cargo shuttles do we have access to?
I made a list. You actually have 3 cargo shuttles, but I have them combined into a group, and that's what the stats reflect is the group. But we can break them up if you'd like.
So it's not like I have 3 shuttles that hold 50. I have 3 shuttles, or sorry, 3 with 50 each. It's 3 that hold 50 overall.
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, all 4 shuttles going over to DS12 will be able to take care of everyone on DS12.
I mean, this is true, but that leaves you nothing for the others.
Right.
Also, my concern is that for fleet combat, shuttles get chewed up very quickly, and the reason that is because they only have 1 or 2 dice. Whereas if it were quote unquote normal starship combat, it would be harder to hit them and they would live a little bit longer. So sending that many shuttles over pretty much necessitates us taking almost all the fighters.
I did stat out the support ships in fleet combat. They have an attack score. I think you guys have access to that too. It's under support ships fleet group. And their stat is all the way at the bottom, and it's attack of 1 and defense of 2 for the support craft. And then I believe all of the fighters have an attack of 3 and defense of 3. And then, like I said, the Valors have a one-time use of the vicious effect on their attack run.
Mm-hmm.
In short, in combat, support vessels aren't going to be that great if they're fighting anything much larger than themselves. The fighters grouped up could actually do some damage if they coordinate and do like feints and stuff. You could take down something pretty big.
So I'm just going to start moving tokens. So let's put that there, that there. I know obviously it's going to take an interval to get them to all move there, but then we'll put you there, and then how's that look?
And then these come here.
Yeah, those stay with the Hope.
As long as there's nothing hitting the Renata.
Yeah, I feel like maybe we should try and have at least one of those groups with the Renata, just because if something starts attacking that, they're kind of, screwed. So
Now the question is, do we split up the Valors or not?
yeah.
I feel like the Valors hit harder.
They have the potential of doing pretty good, significant damage. Was it 9 damage perhaps total? So you could get 2 off of each 3 dice roll, and then if you got vicious on top of that, that would add another 3. So yeah, you could do a potential of 9 damage off of an attack roll on Valor if you had a perfect score.
Oh
I
goodness.
mean, the other thing we have to keep in mind is that these are Klingons. They might, attack the Hope once the shields are down, but there's no like military value in the Renata. It's not a Klingon-esque target.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
She just can't defend herself very well. I think she has like a laser.
Right, which makes it even less of a Klingon target.
Right, it's a defenseless target. So I mean, it does make sense to leave the Renata less defended simply because it's not something that the Klingons would target. There's
Right.
no honor in it. Although I would argue the same with the shuttlecraft.
I guess my question from Ra Yalix's perspective, the Renata, how many engine compartments does it have? Because I know we talked about possibly converting those in order to essentially shove more people in there.
I'd say it probably has a main engineering and then some puny nacelles that are really only designed to drive this thing through warp. It's not a very fast ship.
Right.
It's also a very old ship, so the engine room is probably much larger than it would have to be just because it's using an older design. There's not much room to rip out systems to start putting people, though. The space it is the space it has. It's not... They didn't build a lot of extra room on this thing.
Right.
If anything, Deep Space 12 would be what we grab and go.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Which then also asks the question, if we're going to convert it, why not just send a cargo shuttle over with supplies to start converting things, keep the people there to help convert it, and then we literally grab it and go as we leave.
Well, my thought was that by sending all of the shuttles over, that's probably what we're going to need to send over anyway to handle all of the logistics. But if we need to leave the system in a hurry, we just have all the shuttles lock their tractor beams on rather than having the Hope have to come over.
Right.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
this works.
The shuttles can carry the entire complement, I just did the math real fast, of everyone on DS-12. It's just going to take them a little longer. Their rate is a little slower than 150.
Right.
45, I believe, is their rate.
Mm-hmm.
So we can go with this plan if you guys want to do that. And I assume that has the Hope coming out of warp right at Chavula, and also the Renata coming out of warp right at the Algeron planet. Or did you guys want the Renata to come out the end of the system and move its way in? I ask because it's a more difficult maneuver to precisely come out of warp in orbit of a planet.
I think the Hope should come out at Chavula simply because we have more ability to. The Renata, I think, story-wise, it makes sense for it to come in simply because it's a slower ship and less finessing.
And how that will work out is the Renata will actually come out of warp near DS-12, and then it will have to take 2 intervals to get to position to Algeron.
Well, hold on now. If we're doing that, it's got what, a transport per interval of 100?
Yep.
So if I read that right, we just have the Renata take 100. And then as it's moving, we have everything except for the cargo shuttles basically ferrying from the Renata back to the Hope.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time the Renata gets to Algeron, we've moved the DS-12 people to the Hope using both shuttle and the Renata.
And regardless, we are going to have people left over because the Hope only can do 5,000. The Renata only can do 1,000. And there's 6,000 between Chavula and Algeron alone. Right?
Basically,
it's just a minute.
If you load up all the ships that you have, you can get everyone, but that includes all of your shuttles as well.
In a big old warp field.
Yep.
And 5,000, I believe, on a ship like the Hope is probably like standing room only. I don't imagine that there's a lot. I mean, 5,000 is a lot of people.
Converting, well, it makes sense to have all the shuttles out because then we can convert the shuttle bays into emergency quarters.
So I'm going to rearrange this a little bit because this is how it's actually going to happen. We're going to have all this... Oh, taking the planet with it. Don't go, planet. It's going to take... Oh, go ahead.
This is, again, Navy brat. So the Nimitz class carrier has 6,000. Aren't we bigger than a Nimitz class? Because the Nimitz is only what 330 meters, and we're what
350.
600.
You're 350.
We're 350. Okay.
Yep. She's a much smaller length ship than she seems. Like, because it's a tall ship, it seems like there's a lot, like it's bigger than it is, but it's actually about the same size as Voyager.
Okay.
It's also not the fact like the Nimitz, the ship on Earth, still has atmosphere all around it.
This is also true.
So it's not. It's like that's why what Monty was saying. Like it's not a standing issue. It's literally life support can't scrub that much oxygen before people start getting, dying of, CO2 poisoning.
We think too that the Hope has a larger complement crew just than a normal starship because she has all the support ships, so you have to have more engineers and stuff like that. So the Hope probably has more people on it anyway, and then to add more people at 5,000, so like probably 6,000 people total, the ship is probably just packed full of people.
Right. And no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just simply curious.
I thought the Hope's crew was like 350.
I think it's one of those things where I looked around and I can't find. I mean, the Typhon class is not canonical anyway, but it varies very differently based on what page you find as to the crew. I think that she probably has about, since she's scale 5, she's probably around the crew complement of an ambassador,
Which is 700-ish.
Yeah, 700,000 ish.
I thought you said 700,000 for a second, and I got
That's
very,
not 700 to
very
1,000, not 700,000 total. She's not that big. But yeah, I dropped the fighters here because there's still going to have to be an interval spent where the fighters move to their position at DS12, and then the Renata's going to have to move in. So this is where you guys want everybody to come out. The Hope at its position and Renata making its way into the system.
Yes.
Cool.
Unless, and we're stealing from Battlestar Galactica, unless we do the Adama maneuver and literally drop the shuttles out at warp.
Oh.
Well, that's the other thing too. Is there life on the planet? Like, is it people are on a planet, right? Not just around it in the station, correct?
Correct. The only station is Deep Space 12.
We could land. I believe that was something that was mentioned by you, Josh, that we could land.
Yeah. The Hope could land.
Although the Hope getting back up after it lands could be very interesting.
With the galaxy-sized warp core, I'm sure fine.
Didn't we say we had smaller warp cores?
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah, we had them lengthwise.
Although,
we had
if
them
need be, the Hope could land and get out of fire. Although that puts us at a very big disadvantage of getting out of here. And that's my only worry with landing. If we land, I'm assuming that's going to be another interval of time to get us back up.
Yeah, in the rules, a move task is required to land, and then a move task is also required to take off.
I think it makes more sense for us to stay in orbit.
I'm just trying to figure out, like, what would be the fastest way to load up the ship. Like, yeah, we cost an interval, but do we cut down the loading time considerably because we're on planet?
The answer to that would be yeah. You could get more people physically moving into the ship than by beaming them. Yeah.
And when the Renata shows up there, we can act as a relay. We can just start transporting people to them.
It's a thought.
Yeah.
I think we should instruct the Renata as soon as she is full, get out of there, we'll catch up to you.
Yeah, I'd say we should have a few fighters stay with them, though.
Yes.
And what we really could do is have a couple of those fighters latch onto their hull. So, they power down, they stay magnetically locked, someone shows up, they can power up and boogie with them. They can also divert power from their own structural generators onto the Renata itself to keep it, maybe help it go a little faster. while not flying apart.
I do like that idea.
Okay, just to move us forward, I don't think the plan has changed, though, has it? Did you guys actually want to do an Adama maneuver on one of the planets?
I think it's makes more sense for us at least, because dropping shuttles out of warp is still kind of a iffy thing in the Trek lore.
I'll say task-wise, Montgomery, you could both in a task get the ship into planetary orbit and drop shuttles wherever you want in the system. It's just going to be much harder.
Well, do you guys trust Monty? Do I trust Monty?
Depends, Monty. What's your score?
I'll take a look in a book. It is con is a 4.
Okay.
So, for example, you could drop off fighters at Chivula or DS-12 while the Hope continues on to like Algeron, and then like we start the whole tracking of time with everyone in position. We could do that.
Okay. Could I assist Monty since I have the focus coordinated efforts?
Of course. Just tell me how you're going to assist.
Oh, so I am a Trek nerd for this. We can launch shuttles from the ship while at warp as long as they engage a warp sustainer setting. Basically, they will sustain their warp travel we launch them out at until they want to drop out. They just match their warp field frequency to us, and then when we launch them, they literally they're within that bubble, and then they start to lose speed as they, slowly decelerate. It's not going to be like a hard stop. A lot of the probes have warp sustainers in them. So
I think mechanically it would work really the same way. Like your piloting skill would determine how well they pull that off also.
I'm just giving more fluff.
But as for me assisting, I think Tuzon has a lot of faith in Montgomery, whether Montgomery thinks has it in himself or not. But being there and kind of one of those, you are built for this, you can do this, I know you can do it kind of thing.
Okay, just so I can repeat it, we've got the Hope coming out of warp in orbit of Chivula, and then she's going to drop off fighters for the higher difficulty, which the fighters and then all the support craft that I've got here on the lower section will end up in orbit of DS-12?
Yes.
Cool. Sounds good. Okay, I'm going to move you guys back to the meeting that I hijacked to show you this.
We'll just make it that all that dialogue was us literally pulling up the map and figuring out how to do it all.
Smart.
Johan's just patting his legs with his hands like, yep, I'm important here.
Johan, we're about to have a lot of people on board. It means the medical staff's got to be in tip-top shape.
Yeah, no, they will be.
Good, glad to hear it. Anybody else have any questions, concerns, comments? Hearing none, we have our orders. Let's get going.
Monty will get up and head right to the bridge. Johan will just watch everyone leave and pat the table a couple of times and then get up.
With that, I'm going to cut us back to the bridge. I think the only person we are missing here is the captain. And Ryelix, I'm also putting you on just so we can have you in the scene.
Okay. I mean, 8 of 13's there. I can just pilot her for that, but yeah.
2 tactical officers on the bridge.
So, Sophanth, as soon as you sit down at your station, you notice on your console that as you guys are drawing near the system, your communications are just blowing up. You've got communications from Algeron, from Chivula, and from DS-12. Everyone wants to talk to you guys. And then also you've got a transmission from the Renata.
Well, that's fun. Also, small point of order. Sophanth never sits down because, again, half horse. She just stands there. And I like to imagine it that literally when she goes to a station that has a chair, the floor opens up and the chair just sort of recesses down into the deck.
I feel like Safant, this is like your permanent station right here.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like you actually have a console and stuff. You don't just have a chair.
Right. But no. I say all that to the captain. I say, sir, we've got messages coming in from literally everyone.
Oh my, that can't say that surprised me. Bring the Renata on screen first. Let's coordinate our plan with them so they know what we're doing.
I presses a button.
And there it goes. Roll20 is being very slow. Sorry for that. But
No,
appearing
it's
on...
fine. There was a service outage earlier today.
Oh, lovely. Appearing on the screen is a middle-aged male Qatarian. He is wearing pretty much as you would expect from a person who is a miner or a transporter of mining materials. He's got sort of a coveralls and tools and stuff coming out of a pocket on his shirt. But he looks up. Hello. This is the Hope, right?
This is the Hope. I'm Commander Tuzon.
My name's Captain Alif of the Renata.
Well, Captain, glad to see that you are offering your assistance here.
Yeah. So when I talked to the Commodore, she said that you guys were gonna tell us where we needed to go and protect us from any Klingons. Is that right?
That is correct. We just got out of a meeting where we were looking at how we wanted to utilize your abilities. We will be attaching one of our fighter wings to your ship as protection, and we would like you to start the process of evacuating the planet Algeron, and as soon as you hit capacity, get out of the system with our fighters, and we will catch up to you.
Okay, that sounds good. I want you to know our transporter is mostly used for emergency purposes, but my chief engineer is telling me that it's gonna work. We're not gonna be able to transport people very quickly, but we'll certainly endeavor to get as many people up as quickly as we can.
We totally understand. Any assistance that you are able to provide is amazing. Do you need any assistance from us to do any final systems checks?
Well, it's not going to be very comfortable for anybody that we pick up. These cargo containers are designed for transporting dilithium, deuterium. They've got life support. We don't use them, but my engineers also told me that all the systems are green, so it's going to smell funny, but everyone should be okay.
We understand. Our end result is to try to get everyone to the Celis system. Therefore, we won't have to go about evacuating them if the line changes again.
Okay, I'll let you just tell me wherever you want me to take them, and that's what we'll do. Just please keep the Klingons off our back. We're not a warship by any means.
We totally understand. We will do our best to keep you safe.
All right, Hope, I guess we'll see you at Algeron.
Indeed. See you there. Safe flight.
And the transmission cuts out.
Montgomery will just kind of swerve around and look to the captain like, I do recommend we make a bunch of decoys with Type 9 probe.
I turn to Rod Yelix. Think we can do that quickly?
It's possible, yes. Whether we can do it quickly, I'm not sure. But I can try and put something together.
Go ahead and try to get something together. If we can provide decoys and confuse people, Klingons, the more likely this is to succeed.
All right, I'm on it.
Right, Yelix, let's tackle that first, and then we'll continue on with the conversations with others. And the way we've tackled this in other games, ELH and I, is basically you decide the difficulty, and the difficulty you decide and that you succeed on is the difficulty that you're creating for anyone to detect, what you're going for. You will need to let me know the decoy that you're trying to establish, and it probably won't exist outside of a single zone inside of the system. So like any of those columns, like you could drop a decoy there, and you have to tell me what that decoy is going to represent. But the difficulty of overcoming that will be what difficulty you set for yourself if you succeed.
Gotcha. the Renata was stopping. Where again was it at Deep Space 12?
Yeah, the plan was that she's gonna drop out near, well, just the outside of the system, and she's gonna move her way in to Algeron.
Gotcha. Okay. Um.
So maybe let's start. Tell me what you want the decoy to represent, to make someone think that the Hope is somewhere else, or what would you like it to be?
I would like to try and basically give it a signal that would maybe represent a. Ooh, that it can maybe pass as like another Starfleet ship, not necessarily the Hope, but maybe another ship.
I would
What size
suggest
ship?
Um, probably not something huge.
I would say Defiant or maybe a Prometheus.
Yeah. Let's not push our luck a whole lot. Let's go with the Defiant.
For what it's worth, I think smaller would probably be easier to pull off.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll go with the Defiant.
And how quickly do you want this to be ready? Do you want to get this done as you guys are entering the system or afterwards?
I would like it to try and be ready before we enter the system.
Okay.
And so what would... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Why I was asking you those questions is we're going to say the base difficulty is a 3.
Okay.
And that is a difficulty of 2 based on the parameters you told me of the size ship you're trying to replicate, and then also the speed with which you're trying to get this done makes that base difficulty of 2. Now, the 3 is the number 1 that I came from, is the difficulty it's going to take for any opposing ship to see past your decoy. Now, you can make that harder for them by increasing your difficulty even further. So, like, if you increase your difficulty to a 4, their difficulty to detect is a 2. If you go up to a 5, their difficulty is a 3.
Right.
And you can keep going past 5 if you want, but that's the difficulty you're going to have to beat to pull this all off.
Okay. Okay. Let's just go with the base of 3.
Cool. Okay.
And so the task for that will be what?
Let's say engineering control.
Okay. I will give you 1 threat for a 3rd die. And oh boy, this is something I can't remember. So with my role as chief engineer, I get an advantage, but that's only if I'm in engineering, right? I think that's how they work.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Then never mind on that.
With your desire to get this done as quickly as possible, I don't think you'd have time to walk to engineering to get that advantage.
Fair. I don't think I have a focus here unless the only ones I could probably I probably not experimental technology, but jury rigging maybe.
I'd let you have a focus in jury rigging, but I would increase the complication range because because that jury rigging this thing could actually make the situation worse for you.
In that case, let's just take the easier route. We'll not try and jury rig it.
How do you not have a focus in fabrication? You made the Hope.
I have experimental technology to sort of represent that, since the Typhon's a newer class of ship, but
20 years out.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like 20 years old.
If you're looking for an engineering assistance, Monday.
Yeah.
Coordinate with Monday down in engineering.
He has fabrication.
He
Okay.
does.
We'll have him help.
Monday can assist also with an engineering control. Difficulty again is a 3.
Okay. I have the 3 dice, so let's just see what happens here.
No, there's that. Come on, Monday, get a crit.
Darren engineering, you said?
Yeah. Oh no, control engineering.
Control. I'm gonna give him a talent. It's an activation.
Sure.
Or does it matter right now? Actually, you know what? I'm gonna just bump his engineering to a 5. Can I do that?
Believe you can do that with an activation.
Yes, but it
Yeah.
can only go up once for the character.
That's fine. It'll be maxed out 5. There we go. Patient task roll, focus, yes. Yeah. There we go.
Control and null discipline.
Null discipline. Neat.
Just
At least
barely
it's a
made it though. It
5.
was a 14.
Yeah, it's a good thing I bumped it.
Well, you would have succeeded with the 14 too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is not by the skin of the teeth. Monday's happy.
So let me know, Royelix, where would you want to drop this this decoy?
Probably on so I want to drop it where the Renata is, but
Currently.
not like right beside it. So maybe
Well, the
either,
Renata's
like-
going to Algeron.
Oh, I thought the Renata was going to Deep Space 12 first.
It's
That's where they're coming in at.
Okay. Got it. In that case, we'll guess we'll just drop it at Algeron then. Like right around maybe like right around there. Yeah.
Of course, I had a Defiant token, so it was perfect that you wanted a Defiant. I came prepared.
Beautiful.
Just make sure to name it the Thunderchild.
Oh,
I was going to name it the Caliburn, actually.
Well.
okay.
So for everyone else on the bridge, you see Royelix furiously working at something at his console. Yeah, the console's beeping. You have a call from Deep Space 12 and also the ambassador, who's very he's very persistent on continuing to hail you over and over.
Also,
Sir, I
man-
have a very angry ambassador wishing to speak with you.
Well, let's get this out of the way. Go ahead and put him on screen.
All right, now while he is talking with the ambassador on his screen, at my station, I am talking with DS12.
Okay. So at first, what appears on the main view screen is an Andorian male. He's wearing some very lavish clothing, especially for an ambassador. But he seems to have taken the status of his position quite literally, and he is very heavily decorated himself. But as soon as he appears on the screen, he doesn't even give you a chance, Tuzan, to introduce yourself. Hope, let me know when are you guys going to actually be here to transport us up. We're eager to leave this system immediately.
Well, Ambassador, our plans are to evacuate all the citizens left in the system.
Yes, very well. You know there could be Klingons here immediately. We have very sensitive material here that needs to be secured.
Ambassador, you are aware that we have 6,000 people or more that we are evacuating. The hope will be at evacuation capacity. There isn't going to be enough room for a lot of extra things.
Well, I'll leave you to figure out the logistics of all that. I just need my people and our materials beamed up immediately.
We are getting close to the system. We are planning on taking care of the diplomatic core response team first, but we will be then heading to Algeron to help assist in the evacuation from there.
Very, very well. I will also have one of my assistants send you the exact specifications that I require for my quarters. Of course, I will have the largest suite that you have available. That goes without saying. Also, the environmental controls, temperature, etc. are... I have exact specifications. You'll get them shortly.
Ambassador, we will be at evacuation capacity. There will be no extra room. All quarters will be filled pretty much to standing room only. We are converting our shuttle bays into emergency quarters. you're going to get what you get.
Well, you have quarters on your ship, don't you? It seems to me that someone in your position should give up their quarters for a dignitary like myself.
Oh, look, Captain, we lost signal suddenly. I'm so sorry.
I'm taking you cut communications, and the
Oh, yeah.
ambassador is cut.
Oh, yeah. I saw that conversation wasn't going anywhere.
Thank you, Commander.
You're welcome.
So, Fan, let's cover your conversation, which would have happened, I guess, at the same time as the conversation with the ambassador. To the side, materializing on your display, is Dr. Chetta. She is obviously of human origin. She is wearing a scientific jumpsuit, which is pretty common to someone working Federation sciences. And she appears, and she immediately goes to business as usual. And she says, hello, Hope. This is Dr. Chetta, Administrator of Deep Space 12.
Hello, this is Commander Sophanth of the Hope. Tell me, Doctor, are you ready for evac?
We are ready for evac. One wrinkle here is we have, sensitive materials that cannot fall into Klingon hands, and an advanced research that we've been working on. Anyway, it cannot be transported via transporter. It must be transported in person. I will explain more when I'm on your ship, but this is vital to the safety and security of the Federation.
Is this in relation to your Valadium?
It is indeed.
Well, the good news is that we had already planned to use shuttles to do most of the heavy lifting. I will do my best to be on one of them so that we may talk face to face.
That sounds very good. I believe we may have met before. You are Sophanth?
Yes, we might have met at that one conference on Ryza about a few years ago.
I seem to remember us having an interesting discussion on quantum mechanics. Good. This is great. You will definitely appreciate what we've been working on.
Indeed. If you have any concerns or such, I have to go cut off an ambassador, so I will talk to you soon. Hope out. And then I go, oh, look, we lost connection, sir.
Very well. Let's take care of this whole situation.
So, Montgomery, this helm task. Let's talk about it. So what we're trying to achieve is the Hope is coming out of warp in close orbit of the planet Chavula. You're also dropping all of your support craft into the locations where you'd like. I will say if you'd like, you can also, that one fighter group that you wanted to protect the Renata, you can have it also fly and continue its warp speed to take it all the way to the planet Algeron if you'd like.
Sure.
So
how are the fighters responding to my orders?
That's a
Or
good...
is someone being a go-between?
That's a good question. Who would be giving those orders?
Captain.
There's probably a go-between right now, simply because you're here and not in the CIC, but we've been coordinating with them. So, well, the orders, regardless, are coming from me or Sophanth, because we're the ones that came up with it in the meeting.
Okay, then I don't think there's any problems on following orders.
Okay.
I don't think anyone has told them that you're going to be flying the Hope, so that they're relying on you to get them into position. I don't think that's been discussed.
We'll call that creatively leaving out details.
And mostly irrelevant detail for their mission at this point, so. All right, Montgomery, I think with what you're trying to do here, moving the Hope into position and then also moving those fighters, this is going to be a difficulty of 4. I'm thinking this is going to be a con daring from everything that you're trying to accomplish. I believe the ship could actually, the Hope could, taking a look at her stats, what I think makes the most sense. I think a con engines would also be a good assist.
What should Tuzon assist with, since he's coordinating efforts?
So tell me about what Tuzon is trying to coordinate here.
I think it's a lot of we're coordinating the teams, relaying the information, but also trying to encourage Montgomery that he can do it.
Okay, so it's probably a command presence then.
And I have advisor.
Very good.
Okay. So for focuses, I have helm operation, small craft, and strategy tactic.
I think all of those will work.
All right. And precision maneuvering is a talent I have, which I'm doing something that requires precision
Absolutely.
because I'm dropping off shuttles, and also dropping out of warp inside a system, which is
Precision.
So that becomes a 3 difficulty then.
Sounds good.
The Zoidberg crab walk around the station. Yeah, okay. I'm going to take that momentum
Do it.
and... Alright, so I got in the system the captain, and if I mess up, I can get a determination from him.
Yeah.
Yep, yeah.
Hey.
And the Hope still needs to assist.
Con engines from the Hope.
I'll grab the Hope. Why not? Let's see here.
Currently at 2 momentum.
Engines and con. Yep.
There we
That's
go,
3 momentum.
So, basically what everyone sees on the bridge is Monty's no longer looking at his console. He's tossed up everything he needs to see on the view screen itself. And it's just a flurry of information that's going so fast, none of you are able to keep up with it. But he's just flying along with it. And he's tapping, his console to let fighters know when, to go now. Like, this is their window to drop. And all of a sudden, Ryelix power is immediately transferred to inertial dampeners for a split second as warp drops. And he is just transferring power right back to the moment he no longer needs it. Captain, we've arrived.
Thank you, Montgomery. Very precise maneuvering. I also appreciate you didn't fling us against the consoles in front of us, so there's that.
So I'm going to move everybody as the conclusion of the Montgomery maneuver. We end up with all of these support crafts where they need to be. And the Hope comes out of warp, and on the view screen you see the planet Shavula very, very close. I guess I should ask before all this, Sofan, you said you wanted to be on one of those shuttles, correct?
Yeah, I want to talk with the good doctor face to face if possible.
Okay. Which shuttle would you be on? That might be important in the future. Which type?
I mean, initially I was just going to go with the cargo. Put me on a long range.
Okay, cool. All of this happens at once. All the support vessels are dropped where they need to be. You also get on your console, Montgomery, you see that Renata has dropped out of warp on the outskirts of the system, and she is moving in.
The Renata has made it, and they're moving in, Captain.
Great to hear. Let's start our process here of evacuating.
Are we still going to land on the planet?
Let's hold off landing on the planet for right now. That might have to become an option in the near future. But for now, tell the transporter's room to commence transport.
Understood.
So, Raw Yelix, you do know that in order to meet the capacity that the Hope has for transport, you're going to be running the transporters pretty hot. As in, you transport a group of people, you shoo them away, and you're going to be constantly running all the transporters on the ship.
Okay.
Cargo
Fun.
included.
Fun. Is there any if I was looking at a schematic of the Hope, what systems could be considered redundant for purposes of maybe giving the transporters a little bit extra oomph to keep them running efficiently, per se?
Honestly, the best way to get more power would be to deactivate the weapon systems.
Mm.
Could we shunt the power from one of our warp cores since we have 2?
You could. I think that would reduce your capacity to maneuver.
In character, they probably like it's an option, but if we want to get the hell out of here after we get all those people, probably not the best idea.
Well, if we take weapons offline and we start getting fired at, we don't have much of a way of defending ourselves either.
Monty's just gonna speak up. Like, if we were to make planetfall, we could disable gravity control along with inertial dampeners, as we wouldn't need on a planet.
Yeah, but if we do that, we run the risk of not moving as fast as we need to.
It just occurred to me out of character that if you did turn off all the grav plating, you could probably fit a hell of a lot more people onto the Hope.
I mean, you're not wrong. Just it would be a lot more crammed.
That's an amusing image in my head.
Yeah, that's why I shared it. I was like, that's just too good not to share.
If it weren't a serious matter, I would almost consider it.
I mean, the reason I made those scores the way that I did is they're variable. So yes, you could try to figure out a way, which might also include decreasing or turning off the grav plating to try to pack more people on the Hope if you'd like. That's totally up to you guys.
I mean, let's just do some napkin math here. Let's assume you get what, 20 people in quarters. That's standing room only. But if you turn off gravity and you now have overhead space, that's what, another 10, 15?
Maybe?
Well, how about this? That's standing capacity. What if we just knock them all up and toss their bodies into the room with no care for their health? We could probably get 80 people into one room.
This crew.
I mean,
but that would be terrible bedside manner.
We're already converting all of our cargo bays, everything we have shuttle bay wise that isn't being taken up, as well as our lounge spaces into emergency quarters. I think we'll be fine with capacity. It's just we are going to be very tight.
Yeah.
And I should mention, even Quailer 2, which is the closest system, it's going to be probably like a week of travel time. So the more you pack people in, the more you're going to have to live with that situation.
Celis is another week after that. Let's lower initial dampeners and grav plating to the minimum requirements. Grav plating, don't turn it off, but I could use to shed a few pounds.
Okay.
If you run it like 0.7 G, that will make the ship a little more comfortable for everyone, but I don't know if it's going to help you pack more people in.
Well, I just mean to shunt power for transporters for this time.
Yes. Rygilix, how about we do that as an advantage, creating advantage?
Sure.
2 momentum.
Yeah.
What do you think? You could do a roll, or you could just take the momentum, however you'd like to do that.
Let's just take the momentum.
And actually, let's transfer to the map, because I think I'd like to spend an interval here. So the first interval, we're going to take people off Chavula and transport them to the Hope, right? Or you guys aren't actually landing on the planet, are you?
We are not landing.
To begin the transport, the Hope is going to have to lower her shields, and while you're transporting, just so you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
we have a Valkyrie.
In that first interval, if someone can take the click the buttons for me, you're taking 1,000 off Chavula and putting that on the Hope.
Yeah.
And then I'll move the Renata in system, so she's pretty much at the same location as the Hope now.
Okay, I did the transport, but there's the numbers changed.
The Roll20
Okay.
API has just been super slow lately.
Like, where are the numbers?
So we have a scene, like a montage scene, where we see again, like I was saying, groups of people beaming onto the ship and immediately just being herded off. The transporter chiefs are just saying, go. There's no greetings or formalities, just like, get the hell off the transporter pad. And more people are materialized. So in a span of maybe 30 or 40 minutes, you've managed to pull up 1,000 people from the planet. We also see a scene that hasn't involved the characters yet, that one of the first people that comes up in the very first group is the ambassador. And he heads off towards the bridge. Also in a scene, we move into one of the long-range shuttles.
Oh no, he doesn't go to the bridge. Everyone that's being transported has to go to sickbay to be evaluated.
I think he's peeling off. He's not actually following that advice.
Oh. Thinks it's advice. Johan does not make advice, he makes orders. He's probably told security, like, get people to come into sickbay so we can check them.
I don't think we have time for that. Like, there's
don't.
no way we can check that many people this quickly.
Yeah, group scanning.
Nope.
But on the bridge of the long-range shuttle, we have Mr. Grecken. He's actually working duties on a different ship this time. And so, as you're galloping around the bridge, you see Grecken as he's taking you guys out of warp. He did the hop out of the Hope's landing bay just like the other ships. And on the view screen in front of you is the large view of the Regula 1 style station, Deep Space 12.
Has the station sent in landing coordinates yet, Mr. Grecken?
Yeah, I've got some coordinates here. It's like they just have one landing bay. I was bringing us around. I don't know if this is a detail or not, but yeah, I just thought I should bring it up. When they sent that information, it wasn't on a secure channel.
What did they send on the unsecured channel?
Well, all the communications we've gotten so far from them have been insecure, but we're not talking about anything important, right? I just, I remember, of course, somewhere where they said that you shouldn't communicate important details over an insecure channel.
There's just a moment where Sophant just sort of pinches the bridge of her nose and sighs and goes, Mr. Grecken, get me a secure channel to the station.
Sure thing, will do. And he hits a few notes on his console. And he's like, well, that's odd.
I don't like odd, Mr. Grecken. Be more specific.
Well, they were communicating with us a moment ago, but now it's pretty quiet. Yeah, it's pretty quiet. No receiving. Well, they've got the transmission, like their systems have it, but we're not getting a response.
Run a life form scan of the station.
You got it, boss. Oh dear.
Klingons?
Yeah.
How many?
It's like about 40.
And the station's crew?
135. 130. Yep. 129. Yep. This number's going down.
Transmission to the rest of the shuttle fleet. I want every single able-bodied person that can grab a phaser to get onto that station and secure it. And Sophant will literally go over to a weapons locker, pop it open, grab a phaser type 3, which you can have your threat and the momentum for. And she is going to go pretty much do a hot drop.
Grecken turns to you, Sophant. That order you just gave, I just want to be known that I'm better off in the shuttle.
You can stay here, Mr. Grek, and coordinate with the other pilots.
Thank you. I'm much better as the person that you can count on when you need.
But, Mr. Grek, and I will say that if a Klingon comes through that door, I expect you to shoot them.
Well, I was gonna lock the door after you left.
Well, locked doors only prevent so many Klingons.
Well, don't let them come back, please.
That's the plan.
And so, Fenth, would you be communicating anything with the Hope?
No, because, well, if I can do it over a secure channel, yes. Otherwise, no.
You can, but like all security, it can always be broken.
I'll have a timed message that if the situation is not resolved within, let's say, 30 minutes, then an automated message sends back to the Hope that says the research station is already under attack from Klingons. Speed up the evacuation.
Are you going to try to beam anyone onto the support ships while this is going on?
Yes, as the security personnel are beaming to the station and the transporters cycle, they pull people from the station, at least best they can.
I will let you on this interval in this interval that we're currently on, transport some folks off, but that's only going to be like one way. So you can pull people from the station, but that will be people that you can't put on the station as security wise. It's like the transporter can only go one way, I guess.
Right. Well, the reason I would say that I maybe have something here is I have time management as a focus, which I believe, I'm looking up the actual rules on this, but I believe since this is sort of a extended task, I'm trying to remember, is that under science or engineering?
I think it's engineering.
It's not under science. Yeah, let's check engineering. Okay, either it's not in the character builder or it's not under either of those.
Wait, time management. I believe.
Here it is. It's under command.
Yeah.
During any challenge, extended task, or other activity under time pressure, which this is,
Yep.
the character may attempt a control plus command task at a difficulty of 3. If this task is successful, reduce the number of intervals the players have taken by 1. For every 2 momentum spent, repeatable, reduce further by 1. If the task fails, though, we add 1 additional interval. So if I read that properly, if I did manage to get the difficulty 3 control command, we could do 2-way.
Yeah, let's do that. And then also the further momentum spin they're talking about, I'll let you do additional things like transport again another group of people off of the station.
Okay. We have no momentum.
Just so you guys know, I'm probably not going to walk away this session without any threat.
Yeah. I think I'm going to give you at least 1 threat. I'm going to give you 3 threat total because I really don't want to risk failing this. Would I have a focus? I don't think I would, but because I don't have coordination, I have persuasion of all things.
Yeah, I don't think you do.
All right, well, for all the beans, let's see what happens. Now, there's the 3 I need.
That'll let you pull off all of the capacity of the shuttles from the station and then also beam over security forces to help those remaining.
Yep, let's make it happen.
So I believe that's 45 you can take off of DS12 if you have everyone.
Okay.
You can, again, spend more momentum or give me more threat to try to take off more if you'd like.
Now, let's just go with what we've got for now.
And then you are also in that crew that's beaming over to the station, I guess.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to move back to the Hope. And you guys are getting reports about people, that are beaming up very quickly. You successfully picked up 1,000 people. And just at that point, arriving on the bridge is Ambassador Shiv. 8, you turn around and you notice this person is not authorized on the bridge. Maybe your tactical training kicks into gear. But you recognize him from on the screen as like he's someone, like who he is. But he immediately walks on the bridge. Captain, when are we getting out of here?
I just turn around in my chair. Hello, Ambassador. I was not aware that you were giving bridge clearance.
Well, as an ambassador of the Federation, I don't need any kind of special clearance. Go wherever
Wrong,
I'd like.
You're on my ship, and you follow my rules.
Unless
Unless you don't want to get out of here.
You may not understand the pecking order, as it were, and he kind of leans in. Whatever your rank is, it's far below ambassador.
Wrong. When you're on a ship, you listen to the commanding officer, because they have the authority to kick you off of it.
Give me a command presence difficulty of 3, please.
Oh boy.
8 of 13 is going to assist.
Diplomacy or improvised procedure?
I like that.
8 of 13 is just going to turn around in her chair. It's like, so you can either follow his orders or we hand you over to the Klingons.
8 of 13, I'd say that's probably a security daring. Or let's do security presence.
Okie dokie.
Well, you need a crit because I did nothing.
Let's see, I already gave her
Although, I have advisor. Never mind, I wasn't assisting.
You do have 2 determination 2s on if you care to spend determination. You do have that.
Yeah, she does not have stuff that assists in this.
I'm gonna let 8 roll and then decide whether I'll burn a determination.
Okie dokie. Boop. Oh, hold on. So that's 1 from me.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not enough. You would need 1 more success to succeed.
Okay, I'll burn my determination. Quick on my feet.
Yes, that'll only give you the reroll, though. The reroll the 0 if you'd like. Yeah, that'll work.
Oh!
There you go. Just enough. That gets you 1 momentum. And it might be the combination of your forcefulness, Tuzan, or perhaps the intimidating presence of your Borg security officer. But Shiv kind of diminishes a bit. Okay, of course, I don't want to stay here. I appreciate what you're doing, Commander. I'm just quite worried that the Klingons are coming, and many of my staff and I have sensitive information that the Klingons would find valuable.
I understand that, Ambassador, but at the same time, you and everyone else in this system are all feeling the exact same way.
Yes, very well. Well, I imagine I can coordinate here from somewhere on your bridge. Do you have somewhere I could sit?
I just point to, like, a station over here.
And he walks over, and when he makes it to Sofant's station, he says, "What kind of creature is here? Looks like some kind of livestock."
That livestock is a Kantaros, our executive officer.
I'll let the commander know that you called her that.
Very well. He walks around, and he actually sits in a chair next to you, Tuzan.
I just side-eye, like, death glare. It's not exactly where I told you.
I'm going to drop you in, Sofanth. You materialize into a part of the station. Don't worry, there is no Genesis device in the corner. And I would say with your actions before, I will give you an advantage. That will reflect the security team that we don't see, but you're not here by yourself. You actually have a pretty significant force of security with you. But as you materialize, you notice there's a lot of bodies in the ground.
Well, that's a problem.
In the distance, you do hear some sounds, some shouting, and all that. But in this room, it's mostly dead Federation scientists, it looks like, and then also just some general chaos. But no one else.
Any of them look like the good doctor?
No.
Could I know where she is on the station?
She mentioned something about her research. This area doesn't look to be. It looks to be like a computer system or a command center. So if she's talking about research, she might be going to a lab, which would be further in the station core.
Hold on, you said this is a control center.
Yeah, this is a control center.
What would it take to get anesthetizing gas throughout the station?
Let's see. You'd have to rewire the life support systems, and you'd also have to produce the gas because you couldn't be sure that they would have that on hand here.
Right, I'm just going to trust that the security team can do its job. I think I would check on the computers on my way out to see if I can get directions to where the doctor would have been heading. But my goal is to either A, find them, or B, put down a few of the 40 Klingons.
You do notice on one of the displays there is a room marked the Dalton Project.
Well, that seems promising. Let's go there.
And as we cut off this scene, so fans, you've got, imagine you're taking a few security personnel with you, and you guys race through the hallways of the station. But while that's happening, let's do another interval here. We're going to move the Renata to her location at Algeron. So the next interval, she can start pulling people up. And the Hope, you guys can do another 1,000, and the other support ships at DS-12 can pull up. There, I believe I said 45. But yeah, 45.
Would it do that because the medical shuttles are technically full?
Oh yeah, if any ship is full, it cannot gather more. So that's less. That's 20. Yeah, only 20.
So the Hope will pull the remaining 500.
Yeah.
And we're going to move to the bridge of the Hope. Here on the bridge, Montgomery, you see something on your display. It's like a brief blip near the star, the system star. It was there just a moment and it disappeared.
I'm going to quickly wind back the information to see what the computer's recording in that split second.
The computer picked it up as an unusual radiation surge.
I want to run a comparison if that's similar to Klingon vessels, Romulan vessels, or other cloaking vessels.
I believe that will be an engineering reason, in this case, difficulty 3.
I suggest we not give any more threat.
So, reason, engineering. Okay. Is it okay if I use that momentum for a third dice?
Sure.
Alright.
Do you have a focus?
No. Unless strategy could count, because it could be looking for if this is a typical pattern for Klingons. Potentially.
Yeah, I'll let it go. Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah. Because of positronic brain, I do get an automatic success. So
This looks a lot like a recorded Romulan cloaking device.
Romulan.
Okay. Just gonna look at it for a second and then turn around and look to the captain. Like, Captain, I believe I have picked up a Romulan cloaked vessel. The sensors picked it up for just a brief second, but right in comparison on the radiation that it was detected, shows that this could be Romulan.
That's intriguing and peculiar in this current situation. Can you trace the radiation levels in the system so that we can keep an eye on that vessel?
The radiation was just a fragment of a sensor blip. Unfortunately, I don't have a real-time location. I was just able to deduce what the radiation was.
Noted. So we have Romulans in the system.
And the ambassador turns to you. All right. Now that we've gotten everyone off of Chavula, we could leave the system now. Can't that other ship, whatever they are, can't they handle the rest of the people in Algeron?
That other ship can only hold 1,000 people.
Well, in
You're
times
still-
such as this, sacrifices must be made.
Until we come under fire in this ship, we are not to leave system. I'll make a
That's-
deal with you, Ambassador. If we come under fire, we will leave.
Very well. I just hope that whatever that thing is doesn't blow the ship out from under us before you can give that order.
Well, if it's a Romulan signature, then it's a very good chance that they will not do that.
Well, I guess we'll wait and see, but I still think it's a bad idea to stay here.
Your concern is noted, Ambassador. Montgomery, go ahead and set a course towards Algeron. We need to help everyone else.
Understood. Yeah, so set a course and get on moving.
Okay. What that will be is on the next interval, you guys can move to Algeron. I don't think we've already used this interval to beam folks up. But moving back to Deep Space 12. So Sophanth, you've been following the commotion and then also the map that you saw to the lab that's marked Project Dalton. And you come around the corner. You're not actually in the room yet, so I'll let you decide what to do. But you hear a bunch of Klingons yelling at someone and peering around the corner. You see it does look like Dr. Chetta. She is standing there surrounded by Klingons. She's there all by herself. And she's, oddly enough, she's got a hypo spray and she's clutching it very close to her chest. And she's backed up in a corner and they're yelling at her. She's yelling at them. But that's all you see.
All right. So, in classic fashion, I'm going to outline what I want to do. So, I want to come through the door, trample this guy here, and then I want to come down over here, maybe even vaulting down the stairs because fuck stairs. We take out this Klingon here, and then we circle around while the Klingon is wondering what the hell's going on over here. We take out this Klingon, and then we save Chada.
And break.
I love this
They're
plan.
next.
I actually can't. I can delete some of it, but I can't delete all of it. There we go.
I think I'm going to leave it there. It does need to remain here, I think.
Okay, all right. I'll redraw that line.
So yeah, this would be structured combat, but you would definitely get the first turret as a surprise roll. You do have an advantage from the security team that will lower the difficulty of whatever you decide to do here first by one. Just you got to tell me what they're doing because I think this will be funny.
Okay, because I can technically, as part of a movement minor action, I can move up to long range, and if there are enemies within reach along the way, I can do unarmed attack damage to all of those enemies.
Yes, I love
Kentoros.
this. Let's do it.
So just imagine coconut banging intensifies as I charge into the room. So would I have advantage because they're surprised?
You have an advantage from the security team. Tell me how that's going to help. Are you going to have a security guard on your back while you're doing this?
Yes.
Yes. And I've given him my type 3.
Okay, well that'll be your advantage. In an opposed roll, I guess an advantage would just give you a free success.
Mm-hmm.
So you're starting out with 1.
Unfortunately, I do not have a focus in any of this, so we're just gonna see what happens.
I'm gonna spend a threat on the first guy here. Get an extra dice in the opposed roll.
Well, he needs to beat 3.
One moment, my macro is broken. Oh no, my macro. Bear with me just a moment. I'm gonna have to do this Oh, roll 20, you failed me. Yeah, that's just... Oh, there it goes. Didn't pick up my extra dice, so I'll just roll it.
Not dead. You rolled a 17.
Oh, nice. Okay, so I just have 1 success. And
Mhm.
you have 2 successes, so roll me some damage.
All right, so that's 2 momentum, which could be relevant because I'm rolling 4 challenge die. Well,
Nice.
I think that's a Klingon on their ass.
You
That is
knocked them down the stairs.
Yeah, so I literally just knock him down the stairs with a horse kick to his face, and then I vault over his falling body onto the body of the second Klingon. I will spend 1 of that momentum I just got for a 3rd die.
the damage that you did is not enough to take him out, unfortunately, because of Klingon resistance.
Enough to knock him down, though.
Enough
which
to
is
knock him down, definitely.
And that is another 3 successes. Actually, 4 successes, because again, security guy on my back. Apparently, we have found what she is really good at.
I'm rather enjoying all the gifts in Discord.
Man, I got a complication.
Complication.
Yeah,
So
roll me
can the
some damage.
complication be that I literally landed on him so hard that he's just gone?
Cold. He's down cold.
I like that. Roll me some damage though to make sure that you've done at least something, and then that will we'll say that's the complication that he's out.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
that was good.
Can the damage be mental? Just he's
The trauma.
traumatized.
Of being
So,
landed on.
by my count, that's 4 successes, or that's 4 momentum. So we're at 5 momentum. I'm gonna spend another 1 for the last Klingon. There's the complications.
There
I
you
knew
go.
they were coming. I was like, where are they?
Okay.
I'm going to spend my determination that time never stops, nor do I. I'm going to re-roll those 2.
All right.
All right,
Oh,
they're
no.
not complications. They're not
Yeah.
complications. We're fine.
And you have 2 successes.
Yes, it's true. He needs 3 to beat me,
I did buy an extra dice. So 2.
which
Nope.
is not enough. So let's roll those challenge die. Survey says we're spending
Wow.
1 momentum to re-roll that. There we go.
Hey, so he is down.
And then as I sort of swivel and skid and knock the 1 remaining Klingon to his ass, I turn to Chada and I say, "Come with me if you want to live." Wait, sorry. Wrong era.
That's amazing. So, I'd like to think that the security guard, while you were doing this, was firing madly, but didn't actually hit anybody.
Oh, it's okay. He was for effect.
Yeah, he was shooting the entire time. He did nothing. So you have 1 Klingon who's definitely down, the one that you jumped down the stairs on, whose ancestors will not greet him when he reaches Stovacor, because he failed so miserably. But you still have 2 other Klingons that are just down, but are not unconscious. And that's the 2.
Well, I'm hoping the other part of my security team has moved in by this point.
Unfortunately, they are still going to fight. However, since that was a surprise round, and since you achieved this so magnificently, I will still give you the next turn. And we will start a new round.
All right. I tell the guy on my back to get the hell off. I tell Chada to get the hell on. And then I take my Type 3 back and I shoot it at the Klingon at the ground level. Oh, I should have moved my token. I shoot it at, let's say, Klingon over here to my left.
Okay.
So
With
this
the security
guy.
force, that would make it a difficulty of 1, which I think you can very easily pull off here.
All right, so control security. We've got 3 momentum. I'm going to use 1 for an additional die. Survey says I push the button. Whole lot of nothing. Do I have anything that will help me here? I do not, and I'm not in contact with the captain, so I think that's just a miss with my phaser.
It appears after the great trampling that you have lost your ability to shoot accurately, and you fire off into the corner, blow up a console, and sparks go flying. Chada still looks very terrified, but she's pulled herself up onto your back. She's still clutching the hypo spray to her chest, like it's a child almost.
That's perfectly okay, as long as she is on my person.
But taking a move action, this Klingon...
Wait a second. You're right. I still have a move action. I still have my minor.
You can
So here's
move,
what's going to
yes.
happen. All right. So phaser shots went over here, right? So fuck stairs, but in this case, I have to use the stairs to get back up. So I get back up here, trample that guy on the way out, exfiltrate, and I think we're good. I think that can happen.
Oh, God. Okay, yeah. So in order to get past him, well, he's on the ground.
He is on the ground.
All right, let's try to tame this madness in a roll. Give me a security fitness difficulty of 1. If you fail, that means you just can't get over him, because you got to go up the stairs too.
Yeah, it's those damn stairs. Have 1 momentum. Oh yeah.
There
I
you
get
go.
the momentum.
So another
right
momentum
back.
back. Okay, so yeah, you and the doctor charge off up the stairs, jump over the fallen form of the Klingon, turn the corner, and race down the hallway towards the shuttle bay.
And this is why you don't let ELH do combat.
I
just
love
want to
this. This is great.
imagine that the doctor on Sofank's back, both hairs flowing, is like some romance novel cover. Equestrian love.
Oh God. No, I just want to see the Klingon conversation out of that. It's like, so, Tog, what was your day like? Well, I was shooting one of these humans and then a horse ran in.
No, it's more like this. Like, Toggle, how's your day? Nothing. No, nothing happened. How'd you get that black eye? No. I fell downstairs.
So we are going to actually transition to 1 moment. Setting a scene up. Bear with me. Roll20 is not being friendly today.
Yeah, it is kind of lagging on me.
So around the planet Algeron, the Renata has arrived, and she's getting ready to transport the remaining survivors off of the planet. And then also flying nearby. We didn't have Valors, right? We had just a Valkyrie.
Yeah.
Yeah. A huge Valkyrie. This is a group of fighters. This is not one giant fighter. Obviously, scale is totally wrong here. And as we see the Renata, she lowers her shields and begins to beam up. But as that happens, I'm going to spin some threat. If Roll20 will let me. And decloaking right in front of the Renata is a Cavort class vessel, Cavort class ship. If someone can click on the defense dice for me for the Renata, if you click on the token, it should be defense.
Sure, I got it.
I think that's a good roll.
It's a 4.
Oh, never mind.
So the Renata is damaged, which means that she is one more attack from being destroyed. And what happens is the Cavort class ship decloaks, begins a strafing run, and fires on the Renata. I will let the Valkyrie group here take a turn if someone would like to do that. I also have in the handouts, or actually no, it's in the rules section in the journal, all the pages on fleet combat.
So, I have a thought here. It's a little silly, but hear me out. We have the Valkyrie going in, we faint. So that gets rid of 2 from the Cavort. That means it's a little metagamey, but the Cavort only has like 3. So they would go down to defending with 1 die.
This is a
The
Cavort.
Renata has 1 attack die.
This is a Cavort, not a Burrell.
Then they have 5, damn. Because what I was going to is I was going to have the Renata do the killing blow, which would have definitely demoralized the Klingons. But we can still do the feint from the Renata, because that gets rid of 2 for the Cavort still. Then you have the Valkyrie come in.
And as a small ship, the Valkyrie can move 1 extra zone. So when you do a move and it says like move 1, you can actually move 2.
So when the Renata fates, it moves 1 space, right?
Yeah.
Even though it takes up 4.
Yeah, scale's wrong here. We'll maybe move it back down to like that. That makes sense.
Yeah, so
So
let's do that.
I say the Renata feint and go up here.
Yeah, that works.
Then it's a little bit further out of the way.
Mm-hmm. And then the Valkyrie can just do an attack run, so it gets up to here. I'll push button.
So I'm not pushing the button.
I should not have pushed button. I definitely should not have pushed button.
So that inflicts a damage on the Valkyrie. The Valkyrie only has 1 move here. So let's see, the attack on the Cavort, that was its 1 move. So it does have another move because it is not damaged. It's going to make an attack run on the Valkyrie group. So the Valkyrie group, if you can do a defense roll for me, please.
I nominate Monty.
Valkyrie group defense roll?
Yep.
You have to beat a 3. Oh, well, that's not a 3.
Well, it was nice knowing you, Valkyrie.
So the Cavort, as it moves in, it dodges the shot to the Valkyrie fighters, fires its disruptors, and destroys the Valkyrie group entirely, leaving the Renata all alone by herself.
Well,
but hey, bright side, no more annoying pilots.
Who was
There
part
you
of that
go.
group?
So here at the beginning of this interval, you guys can now move the Hope into the range of the planet Algeron. Also, the other support ships, so DS-12 could pull up more survivors.
Okay.
All right.
If you'd like.
So let's see
I'm
who
gonna move
can
you guys
pull
here.
at this point. Cargo can pull another 10.
Oh, I just did it. You have to manually type it in.
Right. All right, so they're at 30.
And these guys are at 15.
All right, so that was a grand total of 15 more. So they transported.
No, it was 20.
No, I'm taking from DS-12.
Yeah, but the shuttles took 20.
Oh, right, because we had another 5. All right. I think that's right.
That looks right.
Also 69. Nice.
Nice.
Oh god, this mission.
You just
made
blew
it.
up our Valkyrie fighters. Do you know how hard those are to replace? I gotta have some levity here.
You can allow us to act like children for 1 second.
So let's go back to the bridge, because I'm not done abusing you guys yet. On the bridge, TM just reports to you, Tuzan, that the first group of Valkyries has been destroyed by a Cavort-class vessel, and the Renata has taken damage and pulled away, and you guys are moving into position, but that's the report you've just gotten.
Tuzan just face palms and takes a deep breath. This is not good.
And Shiev says, "You said as soon as we were taking damage that we would leave."
Well, I said as soon as the ship is fired upon, we would leave.
Well, that ship was attacked. They're Klingons.
Yes.
Well, we're under attack. We should leave.
Technically, again, I said when the Hope is fired upon. We have not been fired upon yet.
Who is the Commodore your superior? I have so many complaints to make. This is completely unacceptable. You're going to get everyone killed.
Not if we do this correctly. Monty,
Yes, Captain.
hail the cavort.
Opening hailing frequencies.
You get a reply. This is Captain Shorvar of the Klingon Empire. All vessels in this system are to power down and accept their fate as prisoners, otherwise you will be destroyed.
We are merely providing humanitarian aid at the moment.
And on your screen, Montgomery, you see that Klingon vessel, the Cavort vessel. It goes to cloak. In a
Captain,
second,
they're
it
cloaking.
disappears.
I'm going to try and initiate a high-intensity scan on them. I want to find out everything about them when they're starting to...
Do me it's probably a sensor or a science reason and then a sensor science assist from the Hope. This is going to be really hard. This is going to be a difficulty 4 that, yeah, do difficulty 4.
I so wish I could help.
Let's see here. I'm going to burn a determination.
Okay.
There is no such thing as the unknown, only the temporarily hidden. And I think
Sure.
a cloaked vessel counts.
Very.
That fits very thematically with a ship trying to cloak, sure.
Okay, let's, and you said reason, so I get 1 automatic success already. Is it okay if I take a dice, momentum, for an extra dice?
It'd be 2.
Oh, yes. Well, yeah.
I mean, I don't mind it, but it would be all of our momentum.
Yeah.
The ship is assisting.
Okay.
Sensor science on the ship.
All right. And strategy, tactics?
Don't think so.
Yeah.
Not in this case.
All right, we're rolling.
There's the 4.
Ooh.
I don't have the ship pulled up.
Isn't that 5 because of your android trait
Yeah.
or talent? Cool. So 5,
Electronic, brain.
and then anything from the ship. You don't have to roll from the ship.
What is the ship rolling?
Sensor science.
I just didn't have the ship up.
I believe that is
3 extra successes. 2 extras.
2 extra successes, yeah. 2 momentum. So you can ask questions, Montgomery, from that if you'd like. This is a normal sensor check. What you notice immediately is this ship, as it begins to cloak, is actually phasing. It's a phase cloak. It's not just a normal cloak. So that ship is actually not there as far as this universe's reality is concerned.
Okay. And is there any radiation trail being left behind, like any odd wake or chronoton? I think that's what it is.
Nope,
the chronoton part.
not that the ship has detected.
Okay. I don't know how odd or how broad I can ask a question, but is there a way we could disrupt their cloak or the phasing aspect of it?
I'll answer that if you give me a momentum.
Sure.
It would be possible if you caught a ship exactly at the moment that it was cloaking. If you were to fire a weapon and hit the ship at the exact moment, that would probably destroy the ship outright. But it would have to be very precise and timed perfectly.
Captain, sensor reading shows that the vessel is able to phase.
Well, that's unexpected. I really don't want to leave this many people behind.
This is reminiscent of the Romulan technology, Stardate 45892.4. The Enterprise D encountered a Romulan science vessel experimenting with phase cloaking technology. They utilized a phase inverter.
They basically phase out of existence. All right. We need to at least try to get some people up. Like I said, we have not been fired upon. If the Renata? If the Renata is still able, have them bring up one group. We'll take up 1,000 here, and if we are hit, we will then evacuate system.
Understood.
Raw Yalix, you are listening to the captain's orders and you look down on your display and you notice the power systems on the Renata just blink off.
The power systems on the Renata just turned off or just disappeared. One of the two.
Have one of the transporter rooms transport the crew off the Renata. Get as many people off Algeron as possible, and then we've got to get out of here.
My weird question, I guess, looking at that, is the Renata still there and its power systems just went offline?
It's still there. It looked like its power systems probably failed. It did take damage from the Cavort class ship. Also, you remember, Raelix, they were modifying their cargo containers. They were bringing up life support systems, which they don't normally use. So it was probably not... There's a lot of circumstances that could have happened. It could have been damage. It could have been an overload, something like that.
Gotcha.
Either way, we don't have the ability to fix the ship at the moment.
That we don't. So let's start coordinating that effort.
Pretty much. Transport everybody.
So I'm going to move us back to this map. So the Hope, as you pull in to the planet Algeron, you see the Renata. She's got a trail of debris and then it looks like some kind of drive plasma also leaking from her. You notice her shields are down. You're not getting any kind of communications or anything like that.
Transport survivors.
That will require you lowering the Hope shields. Do you want to do that?
I believe so, because I also want to try to transport people off the planet, at least get one round of survivors.
Oh, you know what?
As a reminder, once shields go down, they are done for the entire round. It's not like we would take a turn and then beam them up and then raise our shields. Raising, lowering is the entire round.
Yep.
Right. But the Klingon vessels phased out of our reality currently, so they would have to unphase.
Yes, but without shields, literally 1 point of damage is a breach.
Yes. Well, I would like to at least take a chance at transporting, but I also don't want us to deal with breaches. I'll take advice.
I mean, couldn't we do something similar-ish to... I think we were discussing this with Deep Space 12 about just, like, maybe tractoring the ship and then just going to warp?
I mean, as heartless as it is, does the Renata actually have anyone on it right now?
It has, I believe, doesn't it have some people from Algeron, or am I misremembering?
You guys didn't
No,
get a chance to do that, so it's got only its crew complement. Currently on Algeron is the entire population, the
4,500.
4,500.
Got it.
I mean, this is, one of those captain decisions where I would do it one way, but if I tell you what that is, it's going to affect your decision.
Right.
You're the boss, so
Tuzon didn't sign up for this. No,
Sophant is currently not on the ship either, so you'd have to do like a communication with Sophant to actually talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
let's go ahead and lower shields and get everyone out.
Okay.
Take the chance. Can we do a just totally lost the evasive action.
You can, yeah. When that comes up, you do still have your Valkyrie fighters with you, which you guys have the talent. You can decide what you'd like them to be doing. I think there's 2 choices. Let me pull up the sheet. I think you can either have them do defense or have them do offense.
Let's have them defense.
Which I think just
well,
gives you a
shields down.
difficulty 1 increase on shots to hit you.
And with evasive, that means we can also get up to difficulty 4 to shoot us.
Before that, though, the moment you lower your shields, I'm going to spin some threat here.
Oh my.
Decloaking right off the port bow of the Hope is a Negvar Klingon vessel, and just as there are shots rain down on the Hope, you're reminded, Tuzon, of the advice from Commodore Zal about how the Klingons like to bait ships into situations exactly like the one that you are now in. And I'll let you guys take your turn, but your turn's going to be after the Klingons because they have just launched a surprise attack. They are firing at this close range that you guys are at. They're firing their disruptor cannons on you.
I forgot the Negbar had cannons.
And I'm going to spend a threat for a 3rd dice. Okay, so that's 2 successes. That's 14, 15, 16, 17,
Oh my.
18 damage to the Hope with her shields down. So I believe that is 2 breaches right away. So yeah, shields
that's 2 breaches.
So 2 breaches. I just need to roll system hit.
Well, that's going to prevent us beaming anyone.
And weapons.
Prevents us from hitting back.
Well, what it means is we have whoever goes next has to use a minor action to get either sensors or weapons back up. Weapons can't be fired. You know what? Let me actually pull up the rules here, because sensors means we can still fire weapons. I think it's just an increase in difficulty.
Yeah, it's an increase in difficulty by 1. So a restore will allow you to make attacks with weapons,
Well,
but you won't be
Would they
assisted.
have succeeded? Because isn't it normally a 2 difficulty to hit us?
That is right. It's a difficulty of 3. That's right.
So they didn't hit us.
With your fighters,
Cool.
yep, they would have missed. Okay, cool. Thank you. I forgot about that.
I'm very happy I remembered.
Okay, so let me describe this then. First, let me take the dot off for their weapons.
Did I detect the same radiation blip from them?
You didn't tell me that you were looking.
Oh, I
So-
figured after he figured out that it was, he'd be constantly looking.
I will say, in this case, that scan that you got before doesn't give you enough information to broadcast when they're going to decloak. It's not a
No, I'm just
tracking.
wondering-
It only gave
Yeah,
you
I'm just
evidence
wondering.
when they were cloaking.
Okay, so not decloaking, but just cloaking. Okay.
Yeah, and at that precise moment when you caught it, which is why I kind of had you make the roll. That's the information you gleaned then. But in this case, the decloak, yeah, you did not detect it. But they do miss. So what happens is the Negvar decloaks, just like the entire view screen of the Hope is filled with just Negvar ship moving in, and she fires weapons. But at the last moment, the Valkyrie fighter group fly in. They fire their weapons also to deflect away the disruptor cannon shots. So none of the shots actually land on the Hope, but it is now the player's turn.
Okay, I'm going to cut in real quick here. With 8 of 13's activation, I did give her quick to action as a talent.
Okay.
So
Say
I
TM
guess-
also needs to get an activation.
So what I'm saying is we could probably transport these people, retain the initiative, and then get the hell out of here.
That is possible.
I thought we could only transport 1,000 at a time, and there's 4,000 left.
That is correct.
That is correct, but getting some people up is better than giving the Klingons 4,000 prisoner of war. 4,500. And our shields are already down for this combat. So they could fire again for increased complication or increased difficulty.
So that would almost be my suggestion is we can probably transport the crew of the Renata and some people from Algeron, retain the initiative, then leave. Because we
Right.
can't take on a Negvar, y'all. Let's be real.
Not
got
at this
lucky,
close of a
y'all.
range. If we were at longer range, it would be in the realm of possibility, but not in close range. They have cannons and we don't.
Yeah.
Well, here's my question. How do you determine which 1,000 don't get to be prisoners of war? Because there's still going to be 3,000 left over.
Accurate.
Honestly, we might not even be able to, make that decision of, okay, which 1,000 people are we taking? We're just grabbing a random 1,000 and then leaving.
Hooray, war! We get to split up families. We get to take children from the parents, parents from the children, sisters from the brothers.
On the positive side, you don't have to worry about the Hope being at capacity anymore.
Thanks, Josh.
I mean,
It's a very horrible way of looking at it, but yes, you are right. Yeah. Transport, quick to action, warp out. I would love to say we can come back later, but
So I don't want to be a Debbie Downer here, but we have to spend power to get away at war. And we only have, 9?
Yep.
The Negvar has 15, which means they can instantly overtake us. Though they would be at 14, not 15. So small positive because they
Thank you.
fire disruptors. So they are down 1 power, but they still have enough to overtake us.
although if we can get out to medium or long range where our phasers and torpedoes have a better effect.
this is also true.
I need to look at the fighter wing talent. Hold on. Doesn't it?
I believe you have it set on defense. You have them set to do defense, which increases the difficulty to hit them by 1. You guys could have told them to go on an attack run, which would basically give you momentum on your attack, a successful attack that you could use.
And we can change their orders per round, I believe.
I have to look that. That sounds right. I have to look that up though.
Yeah, but if they were not in defense, we would be gone. So, positives.
I'm just looking up Fighter Wing. Yeah, that's it. Yep, that's it exactly.
I mean, I would say just take the shot. I mean, it's gonna be a difficulty of 3, but just take a phaser array shot.
And we have both TM and 8 on the bridge,
Yeah.
both tactical officers.
Unfortunately, we only have a security of 2, so we only have the 1 station.
I'm sitting here like I almost want to fire torpedo salvo because I have full spread maximum yield, but at this range, it will probably not be super smart.
Yeah, that would be a difficulty of 4.
And all the threat.
Yeah, I would also give him 3 threat.
Mm.
Friendly GM reminder about the situation too. This is one ship. You know there are other ships out there.
Yeah. We've unfortunately got to get out of here.
Again, we now circle back to the issue of they have more power than us. So I think one way or another, we have to fire and get them to lose power.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because if you can hit engines, that's an immediate 2 power loss. And if you dump everything into dampening, it's, what is it, a power a shot, I think?
I think it's a momentum will do extra power damage.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. If you do
So-
enough damage and cause enough breaches, they will be disabled for a round.
Mm-hmm.
Giving
They'll
us
just
the
lose a
ability to
turn.
get out of there. So if we it'd be a difficulty 3 to fire phasers. We'd also get the versatile 2 for
Probably
It'd be-
shut off resistance.
right. Would it be difficulty 3 or difficulty 4?
4 if it's
3,
torpedoes.
because they're close.
But if we also say we want to target specifically engines.
Oh, then yes, it would be 4.
I mean, I have a point of determination that would work for 8 of 13. I just have best shot on the ship as a value.
I mean, I like that idea.
And I have shipboard tactical systems as a focus, so
I think we've established that TM was a security officer, or the technical officer, and we've talked about 8 as the security officer. So where that comes into play, I think to actually do a tactical shot for 8, she would need to override the station, the security station, which would cause her to have a difficulty increase of 1.
So TM it is.
Yep.
Well, TM then needs a focus in ship tactical systems because apparently that's not a thing.
How did he not have that already?
I don't know. I think I had it in the original when I originally made the character because TM was the other character that I was considering between him and Tuzan when we originally started Hope. But when I brought him into this, I got rid of things, and I don't know if that was one of the things I got rid of to make him more of a supporting character.
we've had a lot of why doesn't this character have this focus discussions tonight? So it's been
Oh, Monty's been good. He has all the focuses he needs.
Ship tactical systems. I mean, I would say 8 should be able to assist. I don't know, because TM doesn't have a value to be able to use.
How about this? We will count. So did you already give TM an activation?
I just gave him the ship tactical systems. Although I don't think he's gotten any activations in any of the previous sessions.
He should. So I think he'd have at least one more activation you could call in for debt.
Okay, so we should probably give him a value.
Mm-hmm.
The GM is kind.
I like the idea of protection at all costs.
yeah.
All right, so We'll spend his determination for auto crit.
Okay. What are you firing?
Phasers, right? Phasers and specifically targeting engines.
Yep.
A difficulty 4.
All right, he's going to buy an extra dice with two momentum. He has a focus.
Also, you are firing with spread, just for the record.
Thank you.
That's 4.
Yeah.
Very good. The resistance of a Negvar is 6.
So versatile 2 to get rid of the 4.
No, well,
Well, because we only have 1 momentum, so we can use the momentum to get rid of at least 2.
I'd say roll the damage first before we spend any of the momentum, versatile or otherwise.
All right, what is the hope actually firing for?
7 challenge dice, I believe. Okay.
It's a fair roll.
So we spend the 2 versatile on getting rid of resistance. That gets rid of 4.
So that still gives us
That's
6.
like 6 damage, which is a breach. And then we use
Spread.
1 momentum for power loss.
Well, we also use spread, so there's 2 breaches.
No. Spread does half the damage of the shot, but it counts as an entirely separate attack. So, for example, the 8 damage becomes 4 damage, but then because of resistance, it's essentially 0. Because the second spread shot accounts for breaches, resistance, etc., etc.
Yeah. Okay.
You did get 1 breach, and you did lower their shields.
For some reason, I accidentally dragged the hope. There we go. Or around there.
That's right there.
We go.
So you did do 6 damage to the Negvar shields, and you did get a breach.
And we targeted engines specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So with an impact, they... let me see. Engine impact.
They lose 2.
They lose 2, yeah, immediately. And their functions are temporarily disrupted.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what do we say? We want to spend the momentum on the power loss?
Yeah.
I would say momentum on power loss, and it's 1-to-1. So 1 brings them down to 11. And if we give GM Josh 3 threat, that'll bring them down to 8 power, which means they can keep up, but they cannot overtake.
I like that idea. And 8 has quick to action already, so we can retain the initiative because she's present. And Monty, get us out of here.
Do you want to transport anyone? Because that will be a task. You can transport 1 group with 1 task. So
what I just realized is if we transport anyone, that's -1 power. So you would have to give him another threat for this to happen.
Keeping the Commodore's advice in mind, we got to get out of here. So as much as Tuzon wants to get people out of here, we also realizing the situation, got to get out of here. And we still have our other ships out that we need to coordinate to get out of here. So as much as I don't want to leave 4,500 people on Algeron, I think looking at the whole picture, we don't have much of a choice.
And you're also leaving the crew of the Renata?
unfortunately, because if we transport anything, we'd have to give you threat to lower their power, unless we do a power restoration task, which would then have the Negvar still come into play because they can do the minor to repair.
Yeah,
and do their own power management.
Mm-hmm.
you guys have one more action before they would get to go.
Second watch.
So looking at that, I don't think we have a choice. I think we have to get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As much as it pains me to do that, I think we have got to get out of here.
Can't do anything with crisis management, can I? To help us with stuff?
Doesn't that give you a second direct task?
Yeah.
I think in this case, you could take a task using direct, and then you could use this talent to do a second direct task. Yeah, depending on what you guys do, you could direct someone to do something, but that would cause you to use your action. And then, like, immediately after this action that you direct someone on, then the Negvar would go again.
So I can direct 2 people in one go?
No, you could do the direct task twice in a combat. You can usually only do it once. But time management lets you do it twice. Direct is usually a commanding officer will, like, use a direct to have someone fire, and then they will use their command score with presence to get them extra dice, that sort of thing. But the idea of a direct is you're commanding someone to do something.
Okay, so I can't tell 2 people at once to go do 2 different things and have it done in the same turn.
Correct.
I don't know why I took this talent.
I mean, because direct is very useful.
Very good for commanding officers or someone that is like a leadership person telling someone to do. In this circumstance, it'd be good for Monty to have this, but in this situation, I can't think of how he'd use it.
Yeah, no, I thought it was I could direct 2 people at once.
No.
Yeah.
Because that would be absurdly broken.
I think the talent itself even just says you can use the direct task twice in a scene. Or something of that sort.
I guess I'm taking the ship out.
Yeah, as much as I don't want to leave people behind, I think we've got to bolt.
Montgomery, if you turn around and spend all the power the ship has to go to maximum warp, which would basically be warp 8, I won't make you do a roll.
We gotta pick up the other shuttles. The other shuttles don't have high-speed warp. At best, warp 6 for short duration. So if we leave without those shuttles, we're saying goodbye to everyone on those ships.
Not necessarily, but you're leaving them to their own devices.
At warp 6 with a Negvar that has a ton of power. So, like, what's the captain want to do? Do we leave everyone?
Well, also looking at this at a Klingon perspective, we are the target. We are the high thing. They won't look at a lot of smaller vessels.
No, they might destroy them out of frustration that we got away. I'm taking that order as we're getting the hell out of here. So
get out of here and communicate that with the shuttles to jump to warp.
So Monty, you key in the maximum warp you can with the power you have, which is warp 8. Does that sound right?
Yep.
Okay, and the Hope angles, we see a shot, Hope angles and jumps to warp, and the Negvar vessel just slowly glides in towards the Renata. But we're actually going to transition back to the shuttle. So Sofant, as you make your way back onto the bridge of the shuttle, I'm going to drop the doctor in there with you. Grekin looks up to you and he says, Commander, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Be more specific, Mr. Grekin.
Well, some of our fighters were destroyed. Negvar vessel just decloaked and attacked the Hope. The Renata was damaged, and the Hope just jumped to warp.
Doctor, you have your research with you, right?
Chada nods. She's still holding the hypospray. Yes, I do.
Grekin, get us after the Hope.
You got it. What about the rest of the people on the station?
I mean, obviously get our people back, but we don't have time.
Okay, that's we still had about 69, 70 people left on that station. We're just gonna go?
Unless you want to be at Rura Penthe.
All right, setting course. Let's go. Let's get out of here. And as the ship is beginning to angle to warp, Chada steps forward and she says, "But my family's on Algeron. We're not going to help them?"
Doctor, this is unfortunately war, and in war, good things don't tend to happen. If the Hope has already left system, there is no way in hell we're getting anyone off of Algeron.
And she just silently nods. Grekin hits the button. The stars streak ahead as you zap forward into warp as the rest of the support ships come and follow behind you. And we are actually going to jump forward into some time. I'm going to take you into Tuzan's ready room. So Tuzan, what happened was the Klingons actually did not pursue you, did not pursue your support craft. They just let you go.
Tuzan's in his office, like, completely dreading every moment that happened, like full head in hands frustration.
So I believe the count of who you managed to rescue were 1,600. Actually, yeah, about 1,600. Yep.
That's such a far cry.
1,600 of 6,500, not including the crew of the Renata also.
Tuzan takes a moment to compose himself and hits the communication to communicate with the Commodore.
And the Commodore's office answers, and they said that she will be with you in a moment. Because, like a dummy, I also deleted her token again, and I have the same problem. And a moment passes, and appearing in her chair again, you can only see the top part of her head, is Commodore Zol.
The Commodore will be able to see, like, Tuzan's complete, like, he is having a hard time with all of this.
Tuzan, it's good to see you.
Feeling is mutual, Commodore. I unfortunately don't have very good news.
Well, let's start with a positive. We're having this communication, which means you got your ship out of there.
Indeed. As well as about 1,600 individuals.
You mean 1,600 on the Hope, correct?
Between the Hope and our support fleet.
And what about the Renata?
The Renata was hit, and we were unable to rescue it before we were faced with a no-win situation. A Negvar decided that they were going to present themselves in the system. We were unable to get anyone off of Algeron.
And she looks a little crestfallen. Her eyes go down. It sounds as though you did the best you could, Commander. That's all I asked.
We did. We were able to save individuals off the Deep Space 12. Our support craft were managing that. They are in pursuit behind us, but we were forced to leave at different speeds, assuming that the Dengvar would follow us. We high warped it out of system.
Well, it appears as though the Klingons have decided to take their prize.
Indeed. We did manage to find something out, at least.
Oh, what was that?
Based off the information that we got, it seems like the Klingons are utilizing some sort of phase cloak.
That is not entirely surprising. I expected it to be something like that, our inability to break their cloak. It's quite a monumental piece of technology if they've managed to refine a phase cloak in such a fashion to use it.
Indeed. I will instruct Montgomery to send the information we were able to get off sensors through a secure channel after we are done with this.
That is very good, Commander. It's a small consolation, but perhaps this discovery will help us in cracking the Klingon cloak. Also, pass my thanks along to your officers for catching that. They were able to find something that no other ship that's been engaged in the Klingons has been able to.
We were able to perform very well under pressure, and I would have definitely liked to be able to rescue more, but we weren't given a very good option. We were able to get one solid hit off on the Negvar to limit their ability to follow us.
Well, it is very unfortunate, Commander, but that is war. Sometimes we win, and sometimes we lose. Does the Hope require any repairs?
Nothing we can't handle on our own. We took very little damage, surprisingly. The Negvar did try to fire upon us, but their tactical officer didn't have very good aim.
And any casualties on your vessel?
We lost one fighter wing.
Well,
They were protecting the Renata when the Klingons first decloaked and fired upon.
well, Commander, my apologies. However, congratulations on saving those that you could and your ship. While it may not seem like a victory, it sounds as though you were outnumbered and outgunned. To walk away with any survivors, I'm happy with that outcome.
I am, although I'm not looking forward to having to write those letters home.
Nor am I. But, Commander, between you and me, I'm going to do everything in my power to make it that we come back to the Algeron system one day.
I would like to be part of that mission when the time comes.
Well, I have to coordinate repairs from the damaged ships coming in. I believe at this point the most prudent course of action is to deliver the evacuees to Qualar 2. I don't believe that the number you described will be much of a burden on their resources there.
If that is what you wish, Commodore, we will make our way to Quellis and set the survivors down there. Oh, and be forewarned, the ambassador might be sending you several mentions of how I'm not doing my job. I put him in his place.
Well, I hope my communication system receives them. We've had some bugs in the system lately, and messages have been lost. I'm sure you understand.
Certainly do, and I just smile. Stay safe, Commodore.
And you as well, Commander. Thank you. And her hologram shimmers and dematerializes.
Helm, set course to Quellis 2.
Well, of course, we'll be settled in.
And also, Montgomery,
Yes, Captain.
send all of the data you were able to collect off the cloaking device on the Klingons to the Commodore through a very secure channel.
Understood.
And with that, Tuzan will get up, go get some tea out of the replicator, and sit down and just think.
You know when you download some zip files that they get, like, you have like, oh, here's zip 1 of 50, and you need all 50 of them to unlock it all? Monty's doing that with his information. So if someone does intercept a piece here and there, it's going to be gibberish.
Well, we're actually going to transition to the cargo bay of the Hope. And some time has passed, so Fanth, you've managed to rejoin the ship as the other support vessels have as well. And Dr. Chada has pulled you aside she's kind of been talking your head off about the work they've done, how important it is, and she's pulled you out to the cargo bay because she wants to show you the research, and she's been talking to you, and especially because she believes that you'll appreciate what they've done. She walks you to the cargo bay. I think Commander, you will understand why this was so important when you see it revealed. This is very big and very important for the Federation. It's something we could not let fall into the hands of the Klingons.
You have told me this many times, Doctor, and I will say it once more. I'm ready to see whatever it is you're trying to show me.
And she takes her hypo spray and she sets it on the ground at the far end of the cargo bay, and she walks back. And she says, it all came about actually quite by accident. Our experiments with sending a transporter beam through a plate of neutronium, at least, first of all, looked like a gigantic failure. The container that we transported never reappeared, at least, well, from our first initial scans. It was only later when we came back did we realize that the Palladium had acted on the transporter beam, and the cargo container had materialized, only much, much smaller. And she pulls up a pad and she hits a button and she says, Schrodinger, activate program reinitialization Mark 1. And a second later, the hypospray is replaced with a vessel. The vessel is it's strangely teardrop shaped. It's about 25 meters long, about 5 meters tall, and completely fills up the cargo bay. And she says, this is the Schrodinger. We've managed to convert the technology that we discovered. And what it does is, this is a modification of transporter technology, not moving matter from one location to another, but compressing it. In fact, the Schrodinger is our prototype. We managed to successfully and reliably convert her from the size you see here down to 1 micron.
So a more effective version of a certain runabout that the Defiant class, or actually the USS Defiant, recorded with a subspace anomaly. Interesting. I'm sure this will have many interesting applications, Doctor. Do you have a paper I could forward on to Starfleet Science, to the Daystrom Institute?
No, I deleted all of my research as soon as I saw the Klingons boarding the station. The entirety of the technology, including our entire source of Palladium, is on the Schrodinger.
Then I apparently need to go have a very important conversation with a certain captain. Any other surprises I should be made aware of, Doctor?
I want to make sure the gravity of the discovery is communicated sufficiently. At a ship the size of 1 micron, it could pass through the pores of all recorded sentient beings and enter a bloodstream directly. Also, it could easily pass through any starship shields, through any of the spaces between the shielding. I think you can see that the application for this is, well, groundbreaking.
I can think of a few other ideas I'd rather keep none said. Suffice to say, I completely understand where this, the gravity and importance of this situation are.
And if you don't mind, Commander, I'd like to keep the Schrodinger with me until we decide what to do with it. I don't feel comfortable. Well, just say it this way. I may have just sacrificed my whole family for my project, and certainly many of my colleagues. This is too important to fall in the hands of the Klingons.
I fully agree. Are you capable of shrinking it back down, or should I have a guard posted?
Oh, we have enough Palladium to make several trips back and forth.
Let's save it then. I'll have a guard posted, and we're 26/7. And I'll let you have the same level of authority over them that I would.
Thank you, Commander. And she enters a command on her pad, and the Schrodinger shrinks to like the size of a football. And she goes over and picks it up.
I'm trying to remember what is the name of our security officer that I keep picking on.
Could be TM, could be
McGannis?
Danik, or it could be McGinnis.
Let's do McGannis. This is Commander Sofont to Mr. McGannis.
Hey, Commander. What's going on?
Got you a high value VIP to escort around the ship. Make sure they stay safe.
All right, that sounds like a job that's usually for me.
Good. Your new escort target is Dr. Chadha. She is currently in Cargo Bay 3.
I'll be there shortly, Commander.
And then I turn to the doctor and I say, I trust this will suffice.
Thank you, Commander. And if you don't mind, I think we should keep this to absolutely need to know.
Don't worry, between you, the security officer, myself, and the captain, it's all that's going to know.
Thank you. And again, I should thank you for rescuing me.
No, don't thank me till I've gotten you actually somewhere safe.
Well, at this point, I'm going to go wherever the Schrodinger does. My home was on Algeron. That's where my family is. I have nothing else.
I just sort of give them a reassuring or an attempt at a reassuring shoulder pat, and then I make to leave.